And we are live. What's up, everybody? We are here to break down two cards tonight: UFC Adelaide and then the Tuf 28 finale card. And I'm sorry that we're late. We're supposed to start at 6 o'clock, but Kelton had to go to Disneyland. No, I'm just kidding. He had to do something with his girlfriend. But joining me is Kelton. And Kelton, how do you like these two cards? And how do you like it from a betting perspective?
Dude, I'm so excited for two fight nights, man. I mean, these cards both these cards have a lot of good shit on them. I'm really excited. I'm just so excited for two straight nights of MMA. Like, I've just been so excited for this weekend for a long time now. Like, good fights, two good main events, prospects everywhere, good value lines everywhere. This is a good night, man. I'm ready to talk these fights.
Yeah, man. We'll start off with the Tuf finale card. So first fight of the night, we got a banger, man. We got Ronnie Barcelos versus Chris Gutierrez. And to be honest, man, I think the line might be a little off because I do think Gutierrez is a pretty decent fighter, pretty good fighter actually. He hasn't fought in like a lot of guys. I know the last guy he fought, Rodriguez, was a black belt, and he's not the best. And he did beat Jimmy Flick, and he's a pretty good prospect. But obviously Barcelos has beaten the better competition. I mean, besides Kurt Holobar, I mean, he beat Bobby Moffett, and you just saw Bobby Moffett did the Chaz Kelly, controversial or not, he still got the win and got to finish. There is a red flag, though. I know there's some people that don't think it is, but I mean, dropping to 135, I mean, we'll have to see how his gas tank is. I do think that it's the best division for him because he definitely was a smaller featherweight. But at featherweight, I feel like he could have been a lot faster than a lot of these guys, and he was hanging with Kurt Holobar. I mean, he won the fight, but I mean, Kurt still was, boxing him up at times. But we'll see how he does at 135. He could have a good future, but just I'm not going to be betting minus 600, whatever it is right now. I think it should be lined a little closer because Gutierrez is a good striker, man. And, Barcelos is a good striker too. Barcelos can definitely mix it up. But I don't know, man. Gutierrez has definitely been taken down, though, in the past. I mean, he lost to Gerard Sanders. So, I mean, Barcelos could have that game plan here. But if they bang it out in the feet, I think Gutierrez might actually have the advantage if he makes it a brawl. So I think it could go, to decision. So I'm going to have to go with Ronnie Barcelos by 29-28 decision. I don't think he's going to go out there and steamroll this guy because I do think Chris has potential. But, yeah, that's my prediction. What about you?
Yeah, this is a really good fight, man. Really great fight to kick off this entire weekend of fights. Chris Gutierrez, he's making his debut and everything, but he is a good fighter. I mean, I guess I understand the plus 400 based on Barcelos he's a savage, man. I mean, he's a very well-rounded guy, super explosive. Thing is, though, I have enough reasons not to pay the juice on Barcelos at minus 450 here. Gutierrez is also a pretty well-rounded fighter. There's levels to this game, and Barcelos is levels above Gutierrez. But, I mean, this is a winnable fight for him. And not only that, yeah, the bantamweight cut to 135 for the first time. I mean, I don't know. Like, some people, I see some people very indifferent on that. Like, some people think it's the best move for him. Some people not. I do think it's probably his weight class. It's just weird that, Rainey Barcelos, as good as the prospect as he is, he's not that young, man. He's 33 years old, and especially at a really low weight class like bantamweight, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about him being so deep into, he doesn't have a whole lot of mileage on him by any means, but I don't know, man. Those older guys, they slow down quicker, and in a division where you need speed, I don't know, man. I think this is it's pretty much now or never for Barcelos. He needs, if he wants to make a run to that title, he has to do it right now. If he takes a setback, that's not good at 33, almost 34 years old. So I think he knows. I think he knows what he's got to come in here and do, and he should definitely take care of Gutierrez. So I'll actually say he knocks out Gutierrez here in the second round. So moving on to the next fight, man. Got to pull it up real quick. Next fight is Tim Means taking on Ricky Rainey. Tim Means is minus 355, man. Oh, Tim Means was such a motherfucker back in the day, like back when he was actually in his prime, because easily one of the most skilled, like, pure boxers in MMA, which, is really impressive. He's he's tall, he's long. That ass beating he put on Sabah Homasi is like literally one of my favorite performances in MMA history. Like, I mean, talk about a pillar to post beating between one of the best boxers in MMA taking on a complete can. And Man, I'm gonna be honest. I'm thinking we're gonna see a kind of a deja vu of that fight. I think Tim Means is gonna come in here and just pick apart Ricky Rainey. Like he turned Hamasi into a wrestler in that fight, and I think Hamasi might have got like 1 or 2 takedowns, but Means stuffed him for the most part. Got right back up for the most part. I think he's gonna turn Ricky Rainey into a wrestler here, and it's just not gonna work out for him at all, man. So. I got Tim Means to beat this dude down. Ricky Rainey, he's underwhelming to say the least, man. It's just doing tape on this fight, watching the boxing of Tim Means, and then watching the fights of Ricky Rainey. It's just the wide line is warranted in my opinion. So I'll say Tim Means comes out here and gets a one last big finish for his career. But at this point, once he beats Rainey and takes a little bit more of a step up, it's not looking good for him, man. I mean. Don't get me wrong. Bilal Muhammad is he's a great fighter, but I mean he kind of got dominated there. He definitely lost a step. So I got Means, but just because of him declining, I don't think it's really worth it at the juice. So Tim Means knockout second round, but I wouldn't trust it at the price.
Yeah, I love the Dirty Bird. He's definitely one of my favorite fighters. And I remember, me and my dad went to go see I forget what card it was, but it was when he fought John Howard. And after he knocked out John Howard in the first round, my dad was like, that guy's my favorite fighter. I mean, the Dirty Bird's a finisher, man. I mean, he hasn't been finishing guys late, but I think he's still a pretty decent fighter. I thought he beat Moraes. I thought that was a huge robbery. Congrats to all you guys out there, including Ricky, that bet on Moraes. But that was a clear decision for Tim Means. I feel bad for him. They even got his win bonus there, too, because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he won that fight 100%. The fight with Bilal was a split, but he definitely lost that fight. I thought Bilal did win that fight for 2 rounds for sure. But Ricky Rainey, this guy's not UFC material. He's definitely probably, in my opinion, either the worst or one of the worst guys in the division right now. I think Ben Saunders would beat him. That's how you know how bad Ricky Rainey is. He's a striker. That's his game. He doesn't have takedowns. To me, just good takedown defense too. Let's be real. I mean, in the past he didn't, but his takedown defense is definitely looked better lately. And I think on the feet, he's the better striker. He's more technical. I think Ricky Rainey is training with Barbarina out in an MMA lab, but I don't think that's going to help him out. I just think that he has, I think everywhere the fight goes, Tim Means is better. I think if Means wants to fight smart, you should take him down, honestly, and just pound him out and get a submission. But on the feet, I think Tim Means can still knock him out. But, I mean, Rainey's a pretty good striker. I don't think he's going to hurt Tim Means. Tim Means is a pretty durable guy. I know Garcia hurt him, but, I mean, he's still, he didn't get dropped. He just took a big shot. But I wish the line was a little more playable. But, I might play him in the distance. I thought about it. I'm pretty sure at one point it was plus 185, but now I got steamed to plus 145, so I don't know if I'm going to do it. But, yeah, I got the Dirty Bird. So next fight, we got my first play of the night. We got Roosevelt Roberts versus Darrell Horcher. And I got Roberts at minus 185, man, for 4 units. And I like this kid a lot. I've known about him for a long time. He actually lives in SoCal. He trains at Adrenaline San Bernardino, which is 10 minutes from my house. And he also trains in Millennia with Tatiana Suarez, Jalen Turner, Lorenz Larkin. So this guy's an athletic guy. He's 24 years old. The only red flag, honestly, on him is that he hasn't fought anybody. He's beaten a lot of cans. Arguably the best guy he's fought is Tommy Aaron. 2 fights ago in Bellator, trains at Black House. And Garrett Gross, he's 11-7. He's not the best guy, but that was a setup fight for Roberts. You saw Roberts' game in that fight. He has a really good pace. He's a beat in your face. He doesn't give you any space. He backs you up. He takes you down. Good body loss, good wrestling. I don't think he's a D1 wrestler because there's not a lot of information out there on him, if you Google his name and shit. But he's really good wrestling, man. That's what he does every fight. He takes you down. He's heavy on top. He has good striking too, but, his game is he takes you down, And he always goes for the guillotine. He has very good submissions. And Darrell Horcher, he's definitely the best guy that he's fought. Let's talk about Horcher real quick. He has a good left hand. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to, clown on him for that. Good left hand, good power, but he can't get up. He has bad takedown defense. You saw Holtzman take him down 9 times. He had Holtzman wobbling in that fight. Holtzman's a good chin. But I think a guy like Roberts, he's going to go right after the fight and just take him down. He's not going to try to strike with him. He knows what he's going to do. That's his game. And he's very athletic, 6'2" guy, for the lightweight division. I actually heard him in an interview saying he might want to fight at 170. But I think he should stay with 55. And I think he's too fast for this guy. He's going to take him down at will. And I know Horcher's I don't think Horcher's ever been tapped out. He's been knocked out the Khabib fight. But, Khabib dominated him. And then he went a close split with Powell. And Powell almost choked him out. Horcher gets his back taken here, I think he's getting choked out. So I'm gonna go with Roosevelt Roberts for the first round submission. I think he's gonna take him down and get that the submission here, man. I want a big step up. I want him to fight, honestly, Devontae Smith, because you're hearing it on the show right here. I'm a huge Devontae Smith fan, but he does not want that smoke. Roberts would tap him out in the first round. What about you?
Man, Roosevelt Roberts, this guy's he's a decent prospect, man. You're right. He's really big for the division. He's honestly, like, from what I've seen, I know it is only against cans, but like, he looks like a really good athlete. Like, he doesn't have a wrestling background, does he?
No.
Like, but watching him, you would think he does. Like, he's super slick. He's really relentless. But yeah, that is the thing, is the level of competition. He hasn't really fought the best guys. He's mostly fighting bums, but let's be honest, Darrell Horcher is a little bit of a bum, man. Like, I'll give him this. He's a very, very tough bum, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he survives here. But you covered most of it, man. There's a huge grappling advantage here for Roberts, and if he's got any kind of fight IQ, he knows how to win this fight. So I'll take Roosevelt Roberts. I'll say he wins this fight by a 30-26 unanimous decision, and I give you props in that line you got, man. That's very slick there.
Thanks, man.
So moving on to the next fight. What do we got? We got Leah Letson. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about this one a whole lot. I didn't even do tape on this fight. I'm going to be honest. Letson minus 205 taking on Julia Stoliarenko plus 165. I know nothing about Julia, man, so I'll let you take it away on this one. I will say I saw Leah Letson. Leah Letson really impressed me when she absolutely smoked Liz Phillips in Invicta. I think that was better than any performance she had on the Tough House. Sometimes these fighters just, I mean, I know she made it to the semifinals, right? She made it to the semifinals, but sometimes fighters underperform in the Tough House. Sometimes fighters overperform in the Tough House. So I don't know how much I want to judge that. I don't know. I don't know enough about the Julia girl. I'll probably watch a little bit on her after I get off this podcast, but I'll say Letson wins. Knockout, third round.
Yeah, man, she's actually one of the favorites to win the show. And with Letson, man, I actually think she's a pretty good fighter. She's definitely going to win a lot of fights in the UFC. She has a good pace, man. She actually trains at Pura Vida with Zach Otto and Montal Jackson and I think it's Alton Cunningham, yeah. And she actually trains with them, which is kind of cool, like those big guys like that. She has a good pace, man. Really good pressure fighter. I mean, she's not like the most technical fighter, but I mean, she's on you, man. I mean, she definitely puts up a good pace. She has a very good chin. I know she got smoked against Macy Chiasson, which we'll be talking about later. But I mean, she took a beating against Bea, and then she beat her, and then she took the fight against Macy, like on the Ultimate Fighter House 2 weeks later and got smoked. But Macy's a very good fighter. We'll be talking about it later. I think Letson's the better striker here. Julia's one-dimensional, man. She's a ground fighter, and that's it. Her striking's not good. Panne beat her ass for 3 rounds. And I honestly think that, Letson's the better fighter. Letson has good wrestling, too. I don't think Julia's going to be able to take her down. So I got Letson by beating here. I think Letson's going to knock her out in the second round. So next fight, we got Marisa Croquet Boss Green versus Michelle Batista. And honestly, man, I was really disappointed in, Maurice Green's performance against Espino, because I do like Green. I think he has, some really good striking. I actually think he has better striking, to be honest, than Justin Frazier. And it sucks, man. Then they went out there and, got caught and then got dropped. They're talking a lot of crap all season. And in my opinion, I just think, his emotions got the best of him. He was smoking cigarettes and drinking, man, the day of. And he was afraid of the takedown because Espino has good takedowns. And he wet his hands on, got caught, got dropped, and got tapped out. But with Batista, if you watch Batista's fight against Justin Frazier, that was the most embarrassing performance I've ever seen in my life. Justin Frazier just went out there and smoked him. But Batista didn't even throw one shot. He didn't even go for a takedown. He looked so scared out there, man. I mean, to be honest, like I just mentioned, Green's a way better striker than Justin Frazier. So if Green stuffs the takedowns, which I think he will, I mean, that's his only bad part of his game is that he doesn't have the best takedown defense. I mean, he gets back up, but I mean, not against Espino, but he got rocked. I think he's the better fighter here, and I think he's going to, stuff the takedown attempts and knock out Michelle Batista cold. So it's a pass from a betting perspective, just because, I mean, it was minus 160. I'm not going to be betting that, or minus 215 because it's a heavyweight fight. But I do think Green's going to get a knockout. So yeah, that's my official prediction. What about you?
These guys suck. I'll go with Maurice Green. first round knockout. But moving on to a fight, this might be the most talked about fight of the card, easily more than the main event. I mean, this probably is the people's main event right here, man. Because we got Alex Perez minus 125 taking on Joseph Benavidez plus 115. Man, this is an amazing fight, Alex, and this is at 125 pounds, by the way. A lot of people thought this was going to be at 135, but it is at 125, and Alex Perez did make weight. Seems to have made that pretty. I don't want to say easily. He probably went through some shit to make it, but definitely his most comfortable weight cut thus far in the UFC. So, I mean, it kind of sucks they're getting rid of the division. I mean, now that he kind of figured out how to finally do that weight cut, I mean, and at 26 years old, I mean, I think if the weight division stayed around, I think he'd be the king and eventually become the champion. At bantamweight, I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm picking him to win this fight. This is my first bet of 4 on this card, and it is my biggest bet. Not only the biggest bet of the night, but this is my biggest bet of the weekend, man. I have 4.65 units on Alex Perez. I got some of that on the opener at plus 155. I got some of that at plus 100, some of it at minus 120. But yeah, you get the point. Minus 125 favorite right now. So the thing is, man, like Joseph Benavidez, I mean, we're talking like maybe maybe after Henry Cejudo and Demetrius Johnson, he's literally like the 3rd best flyweight of all time, like without a question. I mean, there was a time when he was in his prime. He only lost to Demetrius Johnson and Dominic Cruz, but unfortunately, father time is a real thing, especially in the flyweight division where, I mentioned earlier, these lower divisions where speed is key. I mean, Joseph Benavidez, and not only that is speed key in the division, like speed was key to Joseph Benavidez's style back in his prime. Like, dude was one of the quickest guys in the division, had really sharp, reactive boxing, but things have fallen a little downhill for old Joe B. So, I mean, looking at his starting in 2016, unanimous decision win over Zach Makovsky, at that time, that was his like 4th or 5th loss out of like 5 or 6 fights. Now he's losing an ACB. So, I don't know. Zach Makovsky, in my opinion, not that impressive of a win. And then the Henry Cejudo fight. So they gave Joseph Benavidez the split decision victory there. But I'll be honest, like that was really the first time we saw good striking from Henry. And Henry obviously has improved his striking, but I don't know. Joe just really looked off there. And I know that's the flyweight king of the world in Henry Cejudo, but that was like the real first time, because I don't think nobody really expected Henry's striking to look that good against Joseph Benavidez. I think everyone would have expected if Henry's going to make that fight close or win it, it was going to be the wrestling. But in my honest opinion, Henry Cejudo outstruck Joseph Benavidez and won that fight. That's my opinion. I truly think he won that fight, even with the point deduction. And then he was off for almost 2 years. He comes back against Sergio Pettis. My biggest winning bet of the year so far, I had 3 units on Sergio Pettis to win by decision at plus 315. I won a little over 9 units on that. And man, I sweat that bet when I shouldn't have. Sergio Pettis does not have a knockout win in the UFC. He went out there in the first round and he hurt Benavidez bad. He almost finished Joseph Benavidez. I was sweating so hard, man, because, I mean, Sergio doesn't finish fights. Sergio wins decisions. He's a point fighting guy. So the fact that he was able to go out there and wobble and almost finish Joby in the first round, that tells me that not only his reactive striking and speed is slowing down, his damage meter's up too, man. His chin isn't once what it used to be. So, I mean, man, coming in here against a guy like Alex Perez, who a lot of people might not think too highly of Shorty Torres, but, man, I know me and you thought highly of Shorty Torres. I mean, Shorty Torres, including his amateur record, I mean, we're talking like a 33-0 record, and Alex Perez went out there and just completely dismantled him bad. Like, the dude has insane power in his hands. He's like a bulldog in there. He just comes at you, and he comes at you aggressively and technically. Like, I like this guy a lot. He's 26 years old, Team Oyama, I mean, we've seen a lot of improvements from Team Oyama. All those fighters are doing well. You know, you look at Carla Esparza and Marlon Chito Vera. I mean, did anybody think a few years ago that Carla Esparza would have striking? I mean, not really. And now she's actually got decent striking. She's going out there and outboxing girls like Cynthia Calvillo, and Cynthia Calvillo is really no slouch of a striker either. I mean, I'm totally getting off track here, but point is, Team Oyama is a very good camp, and I think it's a good fit for Alex Perez, and I think this fight's a good fit for Alex Perez, man. I know I'm kind of rambling, but at this point, I think Perez, he's going to walk him down. He's going to land hard shots. Striking might be close. I mean, I don't know. Benavidez is still, you know, he's a legend, man. He's still a very technical boxer, and he could give Perez troubles. You know, this is a big step up for Perez. I'm not going to act like it isn't a big step up, but this is stylistically, this is a great one for him, man. I think he touches that chin early, and I think he knocks Benavidez out. Because the thing is with the Sergio Pettis fight, Sergio Pettis, he knocked him down. He got him all kinds of fucked up, but he kind of took his foot off the pedal a little bit. He got off the gas tank and he kind of slowed down and coasted the rest of the fight. I'll tell you one thing, Alex Perez, he's not going to coast. He's going to come out here and take this guy's head off. So 4.65 units, average odds of plus 106. Biggest play of the weekend. Let's go, Perez.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the hardest fights for me to call, to be honest. And I'm going to, have to disagree with you here. I'm going to have to go with the veteran here, Joe B. And it's kind of funny because I actually faded Joe B with Sergio Pettis, and that was a sweat. I thought that could have gone either way. But I do think Pettis won the fight. But just be honest, in my opinion, Pettis is a more technical striker than Alex Perez. I think Pettis has better cardio as well. Alex Perez definitely hits harder. He definitely has more power. But in my opinion, if he doesn't get Joe B out of there, it could get interesting, man. Because, I mean, when did he go to decision? The last time he went to decision was against Shelton, and he beat him, with takedowns. He's not going to be able to take down Joe B. He's have to strike with him for 3 rounds, and he could get a finish against Joe B in the first round. But I mean, Joe B's super durable, man. I think he has a good chin, man, to be honest. And the Cejudo fight, I actually bet Joe B there too. That was a close fight. I do think he won the fight. He is on the decline. I'm saying that right now. He is on the decline. That's why I thought about fading him with Alex Perez, because Alex Perez is a good fighter. But I think it's a little too much. I mean, too soon, man. To be honest. First things first, he's not going to be able to go take him down. I'll tell you that. It's going to be on the feet. Alex Perez could definitely hurt him in the first round, but if he doesn't get him out in the first round, I think Joe B could definitely outstrike him to the next, the second and third round. I just think it's a close fight, and I don't think Perez is a better striker, man, than Pettis. I think Pettis is more technical. I think Pettis is a smarter fighter. I think Pettis is better cardio too, because if Perez goes out there and blows his wad in the first round trying to finish, a durable Joe B, and Joe B goes out there and outstrikes him in the next 2 rounds, I wouldn't be surprised at all, to be honest, because I think this fight's going to decision too. And I don't think Perez is going to try to take him down. I mean, if he does, I mean, you got to worry about Joe B's guillotine, man. I mean, it's a good guillotine, and, Perez has been tapped out 3 times. Obviously, it's been in the past, but I wouldn't be surprised there. I just think this is a pass, in my opinion, because we haven't really seen Perez striking, outside of the Shorty fight. And I know I was so high on Shorty, we both were, but after you go back and watch tape, I mean, Shorty was getting dominated against Brooks, and I mean, Brooks dominated that fight until Shorty got that lucky win, man. And yeah, man, Perez looked really good in the first round against a very hittable Shorty, man. I mean, Shorty that's his style, man. He's like Justin Gaethje. I mean, Joe B, you could say he's a little chinny, man, I guess, but I think he's durable, man, just like Lee the Leech. I really do, man. I mean, and he has a very good cardio. He's one of the best flyweights of all time. So he's in the decline, though. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Perez wins this fight, because Perez is definitely one of the best prospects in the division. He's a very good fighter. I just think it's a little too soon. So I'm going to go Joe B by a split. But I won't be surprised if Perez wins. I mean, by knockout, I would, because, I mean, the only person to knock him out is DJ. So, but Perez hits hard, man. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to go to scorecards. So next fight, we got Rick Glenn versus Kevin Aguilar. And I'll keep it short. This is a very good fight. This is another fight I've actually been going back and forth. But I'm going to go with the guy making his debut. I know Rick Glenn missed weight, but, let's be honest. He's a very tough guy. He's known for his good chin. He likes to get in wars. I do think he beat Bermudez, but that was a very close fight. He has good striking. He has grappling too. I think he could maybe take Kevin Aguilar down because he took down Gavin Tucker and kind of beat his ass, to be honest. But Aguilar is not the best off his back. He can get up, but Gomez kind of just took him down, kind of took and just laid on him, man. To be honest, but that was a lightweight, and I don't think Glenn's a pretty big fighter though. Glenn could fight. He's fought at lightweight too. But I don't think Glenn's the grappler that Gomez is. Gomez is actually a pretty good grappler, to be honest. I didn't even know that until I watched the fight against Aguilar. But anyways, back on this side, I think Aguilar is the better striker, though. I do think that he hits harder. I think he's more technical. He has one loss against Garcia. That was a long time ago. Aguilar was actually beating his ass in that fight, too. But I got to go with the better striker. I think Aguilar's he hits harder. If it goes though, like the distance, like if he goes out there and tries to smoke Rick Glenn, which I think because he's the kind of fighter that puts everything every shot. Rick Glenn is so good cardio, man. He's durable. It could get interesting, man. It could be a back and forth fight, but I think Aguilar's gonna go out there and hurt him, man. I think he's gonna get I'm gonna have to go with the second round finish with Aguilar, but if he doesn't put him out, it could get hairy. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you for the most part, man. So I actually just made this bet on my ride home. I put 2 units on Kevin Aguilar. He is my second play of 4 on this card. 2 units at -110, man. I did not expect the line to get this good. So it opened at like -165. It was as high as like -180, and now we're down here to pick 'em odds. And at pick 'em odds, I feel like there's a lot of value on the newcomer here, Kevin Aguilar. So I love that record, 15-1, a very, very high win percentage. But that also includes his first L. He got to experience a loss in his career, and it was against a UFC vet and Leonard Garcia. And this was 5 years ago. Aguilar has made some serious improvements since then. Looking back at his LFA wins, which 100% his LFA wins show the guy he is. I'm not even really going to get into that Contender Series fight. That was short notice. It was up a weight class. It says split decision, but I thought Aguilar clearly won a decision there. And that's still that's still a 7-0 guy up a weight class that he just beat there. But really, the performances against former UFC fighter Damon Jackson, where he knocked him out, and then Tan Lee, man. So interesting. This Tan Lee guy, Tan Lee, in my opinion, is not that great of a fighter, and the blueprint 100% is out there to beat him. But the thing is, Tan Lee's a very, very good striker, one of the best pure strikers in MMA. And Kevin Aguilar went out there and stopped him viciously in the first round, viciously. No one's ever. I don't think anyone has. Well, I know for a fact no one's ever went and knocked out Tan Lee, but I don't think anyone's even outstruck Tan Lee before. So Kevin Aguilar, the boxing is there. It's super on point. He's in the prime of his career. I like this guy a lot, man. He's a true winner. I think he has a bright future in the UFC. Now, when it comes to his opponent, Rick Glenn, man, me and Rick Glenn have quite the history. So I've bet on almost all of Rick Glenn's fights. So I actually took Evan Dunham against him in his UFC debut. And, man, toughness was on full display there with Rick Glenn. You got to have respect for this guy. He spent so many years on the regional scene. He won world titles. I believe he was the WSOF world champion at one point. It might have been a different promotion. I think it was WSOF. But, man, I'm pretty sure he beat Georgie Karakhanyan for that. But so I cashed on Dunham there. And then I bet on Rick Glenn against Felipe Nover. And, I cashed that bet. Rick Glenn won, but it was a split decision. It was way too damn hairy. Bro, you should not be fighting that close with a guy like Felipe Nover. Even the ghost of Henan Barao went out there and looked better against Nover than Rick Glenn did. Rick Glenn, all the toughness in the world, man, but he really he's not the prettiest looking fighter. But then came the Gavin Tucker fight. I took Rick Glenn as a plus 230 underdog there against Gavin Tucker, simply as a value bet. An inexperienced guy, if Glenn could survive some initial bursts, he could take it into deep waters and finish him late or beat his ass the rest of the fight. And Gavin Tucker's been gone for a long time. I mean, that's the kind of beating Rick Glenn put on him. So that is going to be Rick Glenn's path to victory if he wins this fight. He's got to take Aguilar into those deep waters, take him into something he's never seen before. I mean, Aguilar's never seen that the UFC cage before, so I mean, taking him to deep waters would be definitely a good thing for Rick Glenn. And I think he will go into the late rounds. So I mean, I that worries me a little bit, but I think Aguilar, this is a passable test for him. And then the last fight against Dennis Bermudez, that was a razor close fight, man. I thought it could have gone either way. I think I scored it for Bermudez live, but when I rewatched it, I scored it for Glenn, but it totally could have gone either way. And then the Miles Jury fight, that was just another outclassing. Glenn got seriously outclassed, and that's probably what's going to happen here. He's probably going to get outclassed, in my opinion. So I'm going to say Kevin Aguilar comes in here and wins a 30-26, very dominant decision over Rick Glenn. So that's 2 units at -110. You already talked about it, right? I just rambled. All right. So moving on to the next fight of the night, we got the main card. We got Ji Yeon Kim taking on Antonina Shevchenko, the sister of Valentina Shevchenko, and this is a good fight, man. Unfortunately, Ji Yeon Kim missed weight by 4.5 pounds, so a little unprofessional there. But I mean, that's probably a good sign for Ji Yeon Kim. Looking at these recent stats of people missing weight, I mean. The record for 2018 UFC fighters missing weight is something absolutely ridiculous, like 30 wins and 4 losses or some shit. Looking back even a week or two ago with Cynthia Calvillo, she missed weight and she came out one as an underdog. I think there's a big chance that Ji Yeon Kim that comes out here, misses weight, and comes through as a big underdog against a Shevchenko sister. I'll tell you this, man. If Antonina didn't have that Shevchenko last name, I think this line would be much closer. I think literally, I mean, this is a case of hype, man. I mean, I don't think Antonina is anywhere near as good as her sister, man. And, I could be wrong. She still is developing. But Ji Yeon Kim is she's a tough girl, and she could give her some problems in this fight. I'll very slightly edge the Shevchenko sister. I didn't look into this fight too much, but I will edge her. Close decision. I think this fight goes 29-28. Either way, I'll say Shevchenko split decision.
Yeah, I'll keep this short. This fight actually might get canceled. I'm not 100% sure if it's still going to be on, but I just don't really care about this fight. I do think that Shevchenko's, the better fighter, but I mean, Kim is no slouch at all. I don't think it should be lined what it is. I think it should be lined more, maybe to maybe -170 Shevchenko, plus 150 Kim, because Kim's a pretty good fighter, man. I mean, the Lucy fight was a pretty good fight. She went out there and she had a duke against Fabian, and I don't know, man. I do think Shevchenko's, a good striker, good ground game, making her debut, but I'm just gonna stay away from it. So I got Shevchenko by decision. So next fight, we got Darren the Dentist Stewart versus Edmonds Shahbazyan, and this is my last play in the night. I got 4 units at -170. I had no idea it was gonna get to where it was now, which is kind of crazy. But honestly, I'm not that mad about it because all my other bets I had got good lines for. So one of my plays out of my 5 bets, I did it. I got a terrible line, but to be honest, I think it should be like -250, and I'll say why right now. So Darren Stewart, man, I mean, I was kind of writing this guy off, man, to be honest, and then he went out there and smoked Spicely, and then I mean that was a domination fight. I mean he smoked him the whole fight. Then he went out there and he put up a good fight with Bird. I mean Bird was winning the fight, but I mean he still had his moments in there, and then I mean just the way he finished Bird, and he hurt him bad. I mean that elbow. I mean that was a really good finish. And one thing about Darren Stewart that I like is that you can never count him out. He has a very good chin. And he even said in his interview after the Bird fight, like, you can't count out those English chins. This chin is like one of the best in the division. And, he has heavy hands, man. He's definitely one of the biggest middleweights out there. He used to fight at 205. I think he's a faster guy here. There's not a lot of tape on Edmund. He trains at Glendale, and, he's been a can crusher. He's been smoking everybody. The best guys fought was Antonio Jones, Contender Series. The guy's like 7-1. That guy's so terrible. I mean, besides that, I mean, everyone else he's fought was like a losing record. And if you watch his fights, I mean, he's very aggressive. He gets in your face, he gets hit, but I mean, just a lot of finishes. I mean, one of his amateur fights, he took the guy down, but I mean, Derek Stewart has pretty good takedown defense. And to be honest, he was beating Roberson in my opinion before he lost, and then he was beating Marquez's ass before he lost, and he got that mental coach, and he's looked really good way. I think he's the faster striker here. I think the speed advantage is gonna be really big for me. So he's definitely the faster guy, more athletic. And I think he hits like a truck, man. He has a very good right hand. And Edmond hasn't even been out of the first round. He hasn't even been out of 2.5 minutes. So and all Darren has to do is just survive, man, this first 2 minutes. I think it's going to be a back and forth fight, obviously. But I think Stewart could actually go for takedowns here, too. I don't know if he's going to, but to be honest, I would like him just to strike because I think he's the better striker. But, I mean, we haven't seen Edmond, so, I mean, he could be a prodigy. But I just don't think he is. I think this is, going out there fighting one of the heaviest hitters, the 185, and a guy like Stewart. I mean, if he was fighting it sucks I'm saying this, but if he was fighting like Tim Williams, then maybe I say Edmond, okay, we'll go out there and smoke him. But this is Darren Stewart. This is a good striker, man. A very durable guy, one of the best chins in the division. I don't think he's gonna go out there and do it, man. So I got Darren Stewart by a late first round TKO here. I think he's gonna hurt him really bad, man. I think he's going to put a statement on Edmond, man. And I don't think Edmond's going to come back the same. I'll tell you that right now. What about you?
Man, I am a huge fan of this career resurgence of Darren Storr because, man, it was not looking good. So he had 3 losses in a row, and then he was taking on Eric Spicely, and he was the underdog against Eric Spicely. I did not bet Spicely in that fight, but I definitely remember being confident in Spicely. So I think the people that are writing off that win of Darren Storr just because it's Eric Spicely, first of all, Eric Spicely has a win against fucking Thiago Santos. Second of all, people weren't expecting Storr to win that fight. He came out, showed improvements, absolutely dismantled the guy. So then they throw him in there with an actual legit decent prospect in Charles Byrd. And, Charles Byrd was he was looking good at first, but Darren Storr, he might be a little bit of a slow starter. But, as soon as he picked shit up, as soon as Byrd got a little tired, I mean, Storr just showcased his absolute lethal striking. It's not even just the boxing either. Darren Storr is like a nasty Muay Thai striker. Like, he has excellent elbows, excellent knees. He's underrated in the clinch. I like him a lot, man. And that takedown defense, even though he might have to worry about it here. Edmond does have all right takedowns from what I've seen. Then again, Edmond's fighting complete jobbers, man. Like, this is a ridiculously big step up. So I don't know, man. I think Darren Storr definitely. I mean, we're talking about a 21-year-old or a kid that just turned 21 versus a 27-year-old guy in his prime. Darren Storr's probably been boxing since Edmond was a little kid, man. I mean, the levels and experience in the hands here. I think Darren Storr is probably going to be one step ahead either way. Now, Edmond, he's a big guy. He loves to bum rush people, and he's going to come in here and try to bum rush Storr, but we've seen in recent performances, Darren Storr can take shots. He can give it back. And what happens when this kid gets into the second round of the first time? Now, we can't sit here and say for a fact that Darren Storr is going to be the fresher guy and he's definitely going to have the advantage, but you have to think that that's probably going to happen. You have to think that percentage-wise, most likely, if it hits the second round, Darren Storr's going to have the advantage. So I took 2 units at plus 135. I'm very sorry that happened to you, man. I know you're very confident, and you're going to win money either way. But yeah, it's funny when you bet it at minus 170. I'm like, man, I don't know. Darren Storr at minus 170 against a newcomer. I'm not sure. And then an hour later, after we were done our podcast, I looked at it was plus 135, and I'm like, oh shit, plus 135 against this guy who's looked amazing in his last couple of fights, and he's taken on a Edmond Tarverdian trained guy. I'm fucking in, man. So 2 units on Darren Storr. I definitely think he gets this done. And, I'm hearing people say that people close to Edmond Shahbazyan are saying, oh, this kid is such a phenom, this and that. He's so great. Like, fucking of course people close to them are going to say that. The people that were training with CM Punk were saying that he was going to be a good fighter. Like, get the fuck out of here. Of course people close to him. People are just looking for anything just because there isn't much on this guy. There's not much on Edmond, so they're seeing people say that he's legit, and they're definitely taking it way too seriously. Darren Storr, should 100% not be the underdog here unless Edmond really is the phenom people are saying. And you know what? Maybe he is, but I don't know. I think this is going to be, even if he is legit, even if Edmond's the real deal, Darren Stewart's going to give him a tough test here. He's going to see some shit he's never seen. I definitely think Darren will take him into deep waters. It's just a matter of whether or not how legit this guy is. And I tend to think that a guy trained out of Team Edmonds camp is not that legit. I mean, well, you can argue, yeah, he had Ronda Rousey as a champion. There's belts hanging up in that gym. There's UFC belts hanging up at Edmonds gym. Like, there's such a big difference, man. I mean, we're talking Ronda Rousey, who was given the belt in a beginning division, and I don't know, man. I'm seeing a lot of irrelevant facts stated about this fight, so I definitely love my line. So let's go Darren Stewart, 2 units plus 135. So moving on to the next fight of the night, which is it the Brian Caraway taking on Pedro Munhoz, minus 215 for Pedro. Brian Caraway plus 195. This is my third play in the card. It's my smallest play of the weekend. I just have 1 unit, a 1 unit shot on Brian Caraway at plus 205. So I slightly beat this line, thankfully. We'll talk about a line I got on the next card that I just absolutely botched terribly. Almost as bad as Justin's botching of Darren. Yeah, man, this line is just so off. Has Brian Caraway ever been? I mean, even the Assunção fight. I mean, we're talking top 3, top 4. Rafael Assunção. Like, Rafael Assunção won that fight, no questions asked. But I mean, Brian gave him troubles. Brian is a really, really tough guy to look against. He's super awkward. He's got very unorthodox striking that works for him, man. Like he's a good boxer, man. He's a really well-rounded guy. Like, he's super underrated. Like, I guess he just kind of, he looks unassuming. He kind of has the Joe Lozon effect. Like, oh shit, that guy's a fighter? Really? He doesn't look like a fighter. But Brian Caraway is absolutely a fucking fighter, man. He has a lot of great qualities and one of the most underrated bantamweights of all time. And I would say that's probably just because of the fact that he doesn't fight that much. But let's be honest. I mean, his last, man, it's got to be his last like handful of performances. Like, even in losses, like, Brian Caraway always looks good. Like, you can't tell me the last time Brian Caraway looked bad in a fight, man. Like, that Cody Stamann fight, that fight could have definitely gone to him. That Aljamain Sterling fight, obviously he won that. Like, he's an absolute legit guy, and he's a top 10 guy. Pedro Munhoz, you know, he comes forward, he marches forward with his big punches. He kind of leaves himself open on the feet. I feel like Brian will be able to, stick and move around, kick this guy's legs, try to slow him down a little bit. I feel like Brian has a very underrated fight IQ as well, and I think he's going to come in here with the right game plan. Pedro is, we know exactly what we're going to get with Pedro. He's not going to pull out any tricks that we don't know before. He either marches forward like a madman on the feet with his power punches, or he drops for guillotines. He tries to guillotine people's faces off. He's kind of an easy guy to game plan for. So I don't know, man. I don't see him coming out and smashing Brian Caraway like some people are saying. I'm seeing some people playing Pedro Munhoz in the distance. They think they're just going to come out here and knock out Brian Caraway. I don't understand at all, man. I think Brian Caraway is going to give him a lot of trouble. On the feet, Brian Caraway cleanly, smoothly outboxed Eddie Wineland like a super seasoned, serious, like actual boxer. Pedro Munhoz, I mean, he's an athlete. He's strong. He's got power in his hands, but there's not a whole lot of technique behind it. Like, I know I keep saying it, but this is an easy guy to game plan for, and I think Brian Caraway might have him. I think he counters him on the feet. I think if Pedro tries to drop in for, if he pulls guard, drops for guillotines, I think Brian is going to get out of that, reverse him on the ground, hold on top. I just don't see how Brian Caraway gets outclassed in this fight. I think worst case scenario, it's a close decision. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Pedro came out here and won a decision. Not at all. That's why this is just a 1 unit shot at plus 205. But I see this being a close decision, man. So I'm going to edge Brian Caraway. I think he has the better fight IQ. I think he has a really awkward style, and he can do this shit, man. So 1 unit plus 205. I'll say Brian Caraway, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28, unanimous decision.
Yeah, man, I got Caraway too. I'm not playing it because I'm not, 100% confident in it. But if he wins, I definitely will be mad. But I got Caraway, man. A lot of people, man, are saying that Munhoz gonna smoke him. I don't see it. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of people have addressed this. But Caraway's taken down everybody. I'm pretty sure at least once. And to be honest, I think it's a better wrestling here. And I don't think there's a threat, man, if he takes him down because. Is Munhoz really going to tap him out? Like, I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think either guy's going to tap the other guy out. I think that Caraway could definitely take him down and kind of grind him out, man. On the feet, I will say Pedro has probably the better boxing, but maybe a little more volume too. But, I mean, he's sloppy too. And I do think that, Caraway might be a little more technical, man. I mean, Caraway's striking's definitely improved a lot. And, both these guys have very good shins. They both have good cardio. Pedro does get tired too. And, Caraway has always had a good gas tank. But to be honest, man, I just think Caraway could make it look ugly, man. I mean, he beat Aljo, made it look ugly. I bet Cody versus Caraway, and I actually scored it for Caraway. I actually really thought that Caraway won. I was so scared, man, when that split got announced. I thought I was walking outside my house. Okay, I already lost. So I thought Caraway won that fight for sure. He's definitely not that active. He has a lot of stuff going on. Like, his dad has PTSD, taking care of him, the whole Misha thing. But I'm rooting for Caraway in this matchup, man. I hope he gets the win, man. He's fighting in Vegas strong. And to be honest, man, Munhoz, he's a pretty good fighter. I just, he's bad fight IQ. Like the shit he was doing against Brett Johns. I mean, he hurt him and then he went for a leg lock. And, he gets hit a lot, man, too. I mean, you can say the same thing about Caraway, but, I mean, Caraway's a scrapper, man. So I think it's going to be a back-and-forth fight-of-the-night fight. And I'm going to have to go with the dog, man. I think Caraway's going to scrape it out. So I got Caraway by a split decision, and I won't be surprised by any bit if he takes him down. I actually really think he's going to take down Munhoz a couple times because I just don't see Munhoz tapping him out. Munhoz has a very good guillotine, but it's Caraway. Caraway has more submissions than Munhoz, too. And I know you said something about when was the last time you got, dominating the fight against Sunso. I know he took down Sunso, but Diego Brandao, I think, smoked him. But that was like a long time ago, man. That was against a green Caraway, and Caraway's in his prime now, man. And, yeah, man, so I got the dog. So next fight, we got Macy Chiasson versus Panne Kianzad. And this is a good fight. I actually like this fight a lot. And, I've been high on Macy, man, before her tough fights, to be honest. I've known about her for a while. And the only reason why I'm staying away in this fight is because she's green. I mean, she only fought like 4 times, including the tough fights. But, this girl's good. This girl called out Cyborg, man. I mean, a girl like that's crazy when she did that. And she actually might be one of the best prospects in the division. A couple of years, she could definitely be Cyborg, in my opinion. I think this girl has really good striking, man. I mean, dude, she hits like a dude. She trains with Fortis MMA. She trains with all those dudes over there, all those killers like Razak and Jeff Neal, and she probably knocks out Alex Morano in practice every day, in my opinion. So I think this girl has very good striking. I mean, you saw what she did to, on her 2 tough fights. I mean, she went out there and beat Laura Pacheco, who's like 13-3, been in the UFC, fought Jessica Andrade. And she took her down and just dominated her and landed big strikes, TKO. Then against Leah Letson, she smoked Leah Letson in 2 minutes, man. Those knees that she landed against her, man, in the clinch, wow, dude. She hurt Leah, dude, to the knees. She hurt of the body bad, man. And her striking is really good. Good takedown defense. But, Panne's a scrapper, man. She's came a long way. I know, in the past she's definitely lost, some fights she shouldn't have lost, but she has the more experience here by a mile. And if you watch her fights on Tough, she's looked good, man. Really improved, man. I mean, her striking's really good. She's a purple belt. I think the way she can win this fight is, taking her down. I think she has the better wrestling. She's been using her wrestling a lot, man, to be honest. Her wrestling's really good. And I think that she cannot strike with Macy for 3 rounds because I think Chiasson will definitely hurt her because – you can probably say that Panne's more technical on the feet, but Macy just has more power, and, dude, she's faster, in my opinion, on the feet. And she's durable, too. But, I mean, I think Panne, is a little more well-rounded. I think she could take her down. Good jiu-jitsu, too. So, and, I mean, she took down, what's her name? Julia, Shevchenko, whatever her last name was, and she's had very good ground game. And I think Panne, man, is a little more experienced. But I'm gonna have to go with Chiasson here, man, to get the victory. That's why I'm not betting it, because I do think Panne's, very well rounded and has good grappling. But I'm gonna have to go with Chiasson by decision. I think that she's just, too good for her on the feet. I think she can get taken down, but I think she's gonna edge it out, getting back up and win a decision. So I got Chiasson by 29-28. What about you?
Dude, this is like a really intriguing fight for a women's bout. Like, I never thought, when the season was announced, that I would be this excited for the finals of the 145-pound women. And the thing is here, man, maybe one of the biggest factors, I feel like Panne Kianzad is a natural bantamweight to where I think Macy Chiasson, I think she's a 145-pounder, man. Honestly, like, she's very big girl. She's nasty. She's so nasty in the clinch. She's really good on the feet. Honestly, this is in my opinion, this is a striker versus grappler matchup for sure. It's just a matter of, is that tough Iranian wrestling of Panne Kianzad, is that going to be the key, man? Because I feel like if she takes Macy down, it's probably going to be I don't want to say all she wrote, but I don't know if Macy's going to be able to get back up. She's definitely improved. She's a strong grappler for sure. But man, she makes mistakes in there, man. I mean, she took down Raquel Paul Louis, and Raquel Paul Louis submitted her in Invicta. I actually bet on the 500 fighter Raquel Paul Louis in that spot at like minus or plus 180 or something ridiculous. So the fact that Panne Kianzad is a woman who is out there losing to 500 fighters in Invicta, I think that kind of shows you where she stands. But hey, I mean, this kind of looks like a different girl. Maybe not having to cut to 135 is a good thing for her. She definitely looks improved. She just looks more seasoned at this point, and that might be what gets her the victory. Is she is more experienced than Macy Chiasson. I like that Macy's trading over Team Fortis though, for sure. Like, that gym's absolutely on fire right now. But I think as long as this fight stays on the feet, Macy is going to piece up Panne Kianzad very badly. But I think that Iranian wrestling is going to be too much. So it's a very, very close call, man. I don't know. My brain's telling me Panne, but my brain's telling me Panne, but my heart's telling me Macy. So I'm just gonna go with Macy Chiasson. I want to see her knock her out, but that's like literally zero confidence. This is a coin flip fight. I'm just I just am happening to pick the girl I want to see win. So I think Macy's gonna piece her up on the feet. Let's say second round TKO for her. So moving on. Go ahead.
One thing I want to mention real quick is that they're actually like really good friends, and like they have a really like close relationship. So this could definitely be a stinker. This could be like a very, very boring fight. Like, they might not engage that much. So I mean, just to warn everybody. But I mean, who knows?
Macy means business. I think she's coming in there to take her head off. We'll see though.
Hopefully. All right, man.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a good fight.
I think it's a really good fight, honestly.
So you want to just call this next one, because I'm sure you're a lot more educated than I am on this.
Yeah, I'll do it. So we got Juan Espino versus Justin Frazier, and this is a close fight, but I gotta go with the dog here, man. I know he went out there, Espino, and dropped Maurice Green, but Maurice Green just wasn't motivated for that fight. Obviously, you can tell by smoking cigarettes, and he just was afraid of the takedown, man. And he had his hands down, he got dropped, and he got tapped out. In my opinion, both these guys are very good grapplers, very good wrestlers. Frazier probably fought the better guys. He went out there and fought Derek Lewis. He got smoked, but he still fought Derek Lewis. And that was a long time ago, man. Justin Frazier was the last pick of the show, just like Kelvin was, and
wow.
he looked good
really?
on the
Wow.
And he looked good though, man. I mean, on tryouts, like, he was like gassed out. Like Kelvin said, like, this guy doesn't have good cardio, but he went out there and I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you right now, like, Justin Frazier, man. I mean, he's not gonna be like ever like top 15 guy. Not both these guys aren't, but I think he definitely has a way to win this fight. I mean, he looked pretty good on Tough, and his last fight against Michelle Batista, man. I mean, damn, he got a knockout in like a minute. I think he hits harder than Espino. I think Espino has the better gas tank, though. I think that both these guys have good wrestlers, but I just think what's gonna happen is Frazier's just gonna march forward and just kind of bum rush him, kind of like Edmonds wants to do. And he's going to back him up against the fence, man, and he's going to hit him, man. And I think he's going to knock him out. I really do. I don't think Espino's going to be able to take him down. I don't know if Frazier will either. I mean, Frazier's definitely going to be the bigger guy on top if he gets on top of him. But, I mean, you saw his fights, man, in the UFC. I mean, UFC on Tuf. I mean, he went out there and dominated Anderson Silva, not the Spider, but, I mean, the big kickboxer guy. And he was the first pick of Whitaker's team. I mean, Whitaker said he was going to win the whole show. He was the favorite. And Frazier went out there and dominated Anderson Silva. I mean, took him down at will. And then against Batista, an Olympic wrestler, he knocked him out cold. And he didn't even take him down once. So I think, I mean, Espino has good credentials, obviously, but Frazier does too. They're both really good wrestlers. But I think really what's going to happen is, they're going to bang it out in the feet, and Justin Frazier has more power. So I got Justin Frazier by knockout here. What about you?
Yeah, I'm actually going to pick Espino here. I'm more impressed what I've seen from him. I think on the feet, he's probably the better striker. Although you're right, Justin Frazier, he does hit pretty hard. Like, he does have two pretty decent qualities for the heavyweight division. He hits fucking hard, and he has wrestling behind him. But the thing is, I think Juan Espino, he's an experienced guy. He's been at ATT. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns from this jobber, Justin Frazier. And I'm not going to act like Espino isn't a jobber. I think both these guys are jobbers, and they won't be in the UFC a couple of years from now. Just being honest, but yeah, I'll take in my opinion, the more athletic guy, Juan Espino, the more technical guy. But it's heavyweight MMA, man. Am I going to be surprised if the plus 140 underdog comes out here and just blast through Espino? Not at all. So the pick is Espino, but for DraftKings and betting purposes, I'll side with Frazier at plus 140. It's a really tough fight to pick, but I'll say Espino, first round TKO.
One thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, man. This is 2 times in a row. But, yeah, Frazier's actually training with Maurice Green, their main training partners. They're training in Yuma, Arizona with Kelvin's old team. So that's only going to help him out, man. I mean, Green fought him. So, I mean, he's definitely going to, I think help him out there. We'll see what happened. Obviously, he lost the fight. But, I mean, the fact that, his best friend and training partner fought him, I think that's only going to help.
So moving on to this amazing main event of the evening, probably the very best fight of the weekend, man. And it's interesting. Some money has come in on the underdog in the last couple minutes here. Kamaru Usman, minus 245 favorite, taking on Rafael Dos Anjos, plus 225. So that price on Kamaru Usman, minus 245 now. I think there might be some value on that, man. Like there's a lot of real weird things people are saying about this fight. Like I don't know, they're just assuming that Usman is going to come in here and take Colby's leftovers, like just easily, just like that, just like he did with Maya. And Usman and Colby, like a lot of people like to compare the two because they're wrestlers, but they're so different. Usman and Colby are really different fighters, and I don't know. I feel like the Colby matchup now, after the fact, of course. I'm saying this after the fact, of course, but yeah, Colby's a tougher matchup for RDA than Usman is, in my opinion, just because Colby brings such like pressure. He just never gets tired. He can go for days, and RDA's takedown defense, it was holding up at first, but just Colby's so just damn relentless, man. He was able to keep up the pace and beat his ass over the course of 5 rounds. It's crazy to me that people actually scored that fight for Rafael Dos Anjos over Colby there. But this is a lot different, man, because I think Usman brings different things to the table than Colby. I don't think he quite has the gas tank that Colby does. I mean, maybe he comes out and proves me wrong, but I'm pretty confident in saying that. But I kind of feel like even though, yeah, he is a little stiff on the feet, I think Usman – I truly think Usman has the better striking than Colby Covington. And I don't want to say he's going to come out here and give RDA problems on the feet by any means, but I think for sure once he takes him down in the first couple of rounds, they get a little tired. Don't be surprised if Kamaru Usman comes out here and boxes up RDA in the later rounds after tiring him out with the wrestling. It's just a matter of the beginning of the fight's going to be that first round, I should say, even is going to be really important. Like Usman needs to go in there and get takedowns in the first round for sure. Like he can't test his striking here early because RDA is a very dangerous guy early in fights. We saw what he did to Benson Henderson, knocked him out real early. RDA is underrated power. I don't believe he has a knockout yet at minus 170. Maybe the power really hasn't translated, but I don't know, man. I just feel like Usman, he's an elite 175 or elite 170 pounder, and he's taken on an elite 155 pounder here, man. And I feel like the elite bigger guy is always gonna, not always, but most of the time, the elite bigger guy is probably gonna beat the elite smaller guy, especially when the elite bigger guy's game plan is grappling based. He's most likely. And here's another thing. I actually think Usman. I honestly think Usman has better striking and wrestling than Colby Covington. I really think Usman is better everywhere than Colby Covington except the cardio and the pace. I really think Usman has him beat everywhere, and I really hope we see Usman versus Colby one day, because that's a fight fan's wet dream right there, is those guys going at it. So it's a good fight, man. I think RDA, if he can stuff the takedowns early, he can definitely give problems to Usman on the feet. Like, if I'm looking to bet RDA here, I would personally take the in the distance prop. I don't see him winning a decision here. I think if he makes it the fight he needs to make it, I think he'll come out here and stop Usman with strikes, man. And I really don't want to count out a legend like RDA. So I don't know how comfortable I feel paying minus 245 on Usman, but I do like him to come out here and get the victory. I think he gets the takedowns and rides him out and showcases some of his improved striking as well. But I would not like to see him do it early. Wait till RDA is a little tired at first, and then test that striking. Get him down early for sure. So I'll say Kamaru Usman via, I'll say 50-45 decision.
Yeah, man. So I got Usman here too, but I definitely disagree with you, because I do think Colby would beat Usman, and I think it would be. I wouldn't say he's not gonna finish Usman, but I do think Colby would, dominate him and win like a 20, probably 30-27. But anyways, back on the matchup here. Maybe not dominate, but I do think Colby would beat Usman. Anyway, so back on the matchup, I think RDA is a good fighter, good striker, but he's definitely undersized for 170. But he's definitely the better striker than Usman for sure. But Usman can definitely do, I think, what Colby did for sure. Obviously, Colby has the better cardio, the better pace, but Usman's a stronger than Colby, stronger for sure, bigger than Colby, and I think Usman might, be able to maybe control RDA a little more. I actually think Usman might get a finish here, which is kind of crazy because Usman has not been finishing fights. But obviously, I don't think he's going to tap him out, but I think he could definitely, lay some big shots on RDA on the ground. And, RDA is a very good fighter, man. He's very good, but against wrestlers, man, that's kryptonite. Colby dominated that fight. I bet Colby there. I might be a little biased, but he dominated that fight. He won 4 rounds, 100%. Colby was out striking him on the feet too, which is kind of crazy. I don't think Usman can, because I think Colby's a better striker than Usman. But we'll be talking about it another day when that fight gets announced. But I do think that Usman's going to win here, man. I'm not a big fan of Usman, but I know he's a very good fighter. Like, I don't like the guy that much. He has terrible trash talk, but he's one of the best fighters in the division, man. And he's a nightmare for a lot of guys. And RDA's wrestling, man, is, takedown defense has definitely been his weakness. So I got Usman, man, by a domination. I think he's going to I think he's going to, lay some big shots and get a TKO in the 3rd round. So what a recap. Go ahead.
Are we gonna get more? Are we gonna get more than 30% this time?
For what?
Usman. You went 30% against.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Let's hope.
What percent? What percent are we gonna get from Usman?
I think we're gonna get 100%. I actually think he needs to make a statement here. So I think he's gonna get a finish. He needs to make a statement, because if he does, he's definitely gonna be fighting the winner of Colby and Woodley, in my opinion. So I really do think he's gonna get a finisher.
I would love if he comes out in 50-45's RDA and says, that was 40%.
That'd be funny. But honestly, we're gonna do it right now, do our bets and stuff. But just wait. Let's just do the next card, then do it. So first fight of the night, man, on UFC Adelaide, we got Kai Kara France versus Elias Garcia, and I'll keep this really short. I like this kid, man. I really do like Kara France. He had a very close fight at Pantoja. Should have won 3 rounds. Trains out of in New Zealand, right? Yeah, with Hooker. All those guys over there. Stylebender, Volkanovski, and very good striker. He's really experienced too. Durable guy, super fast, good Muay Thai. Good grappling too. I mean, we've seen him get submissions lately. And Weiss Garcia's making this, on short notice. He's a scrappy kid, cousin of Pettis, but he's not ready for this fight, man. I think he's too green to fight a guy like Cara France. I know Cara France making his UFC debut, but he's fought on, Tough, and I think he should have been on here a long time ago. He's pretty big too. Like, to be honest, like, he is like a natural bantamweight. So I think that 135 is gonna be perfect for him. And I think he's gonna style on this kid. So I got Cara France by a knockout here in the first round. What about you?
Man, I don't know. I'm not really sure how good Cara France is at this moment. Like, I don't know. He's kind of a hard guy to read. Like, you watch him fight and he seems pretty skilled. I don't know. It might be a mental thing, but that 17-7 record ain't that pretty, man. That being said, this kid Elias Garcia, too, props to him. He came in into the UFC, made his debut against a tough guy in Mark De La Rosa. Thinking he might have even came in a little short notice there, if I'm not wrong. But he beat Adam Antolin in the first round via knockout. And Adam Antolin, that's a tough bet right there. Adam Antolin's not that bad of a fighter, man. So the fact that he came out and knocked that guy out in the first round shows that for the division at least, he's definitely got some power. He's a Rufus Sport guy. It's a very good camp. His striking will be on point. I don't know, man. I feel like the line might be a little off here, but I mean, when I watch both guys fight, I'm definitely more impressed with the body of work by Cara France. So I'm gonna go with the home country guy here. I'll say Cara France wins I'll say he wins by TKO. I'll say second round TKO for Cara France. So moving on to the next fight, we got. Just gotta pull this up. Kaita Nakamura taking on Sully. Go ahead.
It's your bet. I'm pretty sure it's Demir versus Gorgees.
Is it?
Yeah.
Where are you looking for order?
I'm on Wikipedia right now, but it says announced bouts. But I've seen on other people's breakdowns that they've done the Demir fight second. But I mean, whatever. I mean, okay. if we're out of order, it doesn't matter.
No, I'm ready to talk about Demir, man.
Yeah, because I know you. I want to let you do that one first. Yeah, go ahead.
Demir is my very most confident pick of the entire weekend, man. I think the line on him is even at, what is he at now? Minus 525. I think it should be a little higher, man. This guy is fucking legit. 16-2 in one of the toughest scenes to gain a great record in. Like 16-2 in the Russian scene. That's very, very good. Very impressive. Very well-rounded fighter. Like, the striking is slick as shit. Like, he has amazing takedowns. He's ruthless on the ground with his ground and pound. Like, this guy Demir is no slouch. Like, he is going to have a very, very impressive UFC run, in my opinion. And this is just the beginning, man. They threw him in here. This fight was only, I don't know if they knew about the fight a while ahead of time, but I know we didn't know about the fight. Like, the fight only got announced, like, probably less than 3 weeks ago. This is definitely newer. I wonder how long they knew about it, how long they had to prepare. I haven't listened to any interviews from either guy, but man, why the line is so deserved here. Like, not only is Demir like an absolute stud, I'm not impressed with this guy Alex Gorgees at all, man. Like he's a big guy for sure. Like he's a 6'2" lightweight. He's got some length on him for sure, and he can't stay long sometimes in fights, and against complete trash can jobbers, he's able to actually go out there and use his jab and whatnot. But dude, like when shit gets hairy in fights, he gets so fucking sloppy on the feet, and I've seen most people picking Demir to take down Gorgees and round and pound him to victory here. I think Demir knocks him out standing, man. I think Gorgees is way too sloppy on the feet. I think as soon as shit gets hairy and they start to exchange, Gorgees is going to leave himself open, and he's going to get clipped bad here, man. And another thing, the gym he's training at with the Mokhtarian brothers, Suman and Trash Can Mokhtarian, that's not a very impressive gym in my opinion. And, most of the guys there all have like decent records. Like Gorgees has a decent record. Suman is 8-0. We'll talk about Suman in a little bit, but all these guys have extremely padded records. Like they're fighting the most, like they're literally just pulling out bums from the outback in Australia. Like literally taking drunks out of bars in Australia and throwing them in there with these guys. Gorgies is not going to be in the UFC from 2 years from now between me and you. So I got Demir. He's the most confident pick of the entire weekend for me, and I have him in a 3.75 unit parlay with somebody later in the card. So I'll say Demir first round standing knockout. I'll say left hook. What do you think?
Man. Yeah, man. I gotta side with you here, man. I do think that Demir is the better fighter everywhere. Gorgies, he's a pretty good striker, man. I disagree with you on that. I do think that he has pretty good Muay Thai, but yeah, I think Demir is the better striker. I think Demir is better grappling, and I got Demir by a finish, man, and I think he's gonna get it done in the second round. Keeping a short breakdown right there. So next fight we got Kelton Nakamura versus Salim Tahari. And it's a good fight, man. I do think that the veteran's going to win this fight. I think he has good grappling. Tony Martin, we'll be talking about later, complete dominated that fight. And I think Tony Martin's, a good fighter. And, Salim Tahari, yeah, man, he went the distance with Warrior Alves. But, I mean, the guy's striking, man, is, he's pretty good, but he's sloppy. And, he got taken down like 3 times against Nakamura. Against Warrior Alves, and I think Nakamura is a better grappler than Warrior Alves for sure. He has pretty good striking, good kicks for sure. But Salim probably has the more power on the feet. But I think Keita could definitely just take him down here, man, kind of grind it out. He's in a decline though, I think Keita for sure. But I think he can definitely beat Salim. So I got Keita by a finish. I think he's gonna tap Salim out in the third round. What about you?
Man, this might be like one of the top 3 or 4 toughest fights of the entire weekend for me to call. This is a tough one, man. Keita Nakamura is a very unpredictable guy. You look at him on the regional scene, he's losing decisions to Frank Camacho, but then you look at him in the UFC, and Keita Nakamura has some impressive wins. He's real slick on the mat. He's not a bad striker at all by any means. He arguably beat Tom Breeze, gave Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos a hell of a fight. But I think that Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, I think that war might have been the final nail in Keita's coffin there when it comes to his fight longevity, because he won the fight, but he did not look great against Alex Morono for sure. I think that fight arguably could have gone to Alex Morono. That fight was in Japan, so I don't know. That fight could have been an L for Keita, and he could be easily coming off a 3 losing streak here. And then against Tony Martin absolutely picked this guy apart, pillar to post on the feet. And I don't know if you got to credit Tony Martin's improvements to his striking there, or you got to credit that to the decline of Keita Nakamura. I'm not really sure what it is. It could be both. Really could be both, but I don't know, man. I think definitely when it comes to the striking, Keita has for sure lost a step, but he's still very dangerous on the mat. So when I think it plays out on the feet, I think Salim, I'm really not sure what to make of this Salim guy. This is one of the definitely, with how close it is and a kind of unknowns and a guy that's declining, I feel like this is one of the biggest passes on the entire weekend. But if anything, I would have to take Salim here as an underdog, especially on DK, just because I feel like he has the better striker, and he might actually be able to come out here and knock out Keita Nakamura. This might be the time where we finally start to realize this could be close to the end. And Keita's only been knocked out once before, and it was actually 10 years ago. But really, man, it's not looking good. I was so impressed with Keita back in the day. The dude was a beast and one of my favorite fighters to watch around 2015, 2016. But it's kind of sad to see how badly he was picked apart by Tony Martin, who, Tony Martin's not the best boxer in the world. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but still very uninspiring. Salim's a good striker, definitely not the best grappler in the world, which plays into Keita, and that's probably why Keita's the favorite here, but I think it's a little too wide. I line it around Pick'em, and I don't know. I guess I'm gonna pick the dog just because he's the dog, and I'm gonna take him in DraftKings just to save that cash. So I'll take Salim by razor 29-28 decision. So moving on to the next one, we got Christos Giagos minus, trying to find it, Christos Giagos minus 370 now. So money's coming on him, taking on Mizuto Hirota plus 310. Man, I had no idea. The last time, I haven't paid attention to this line in a while for a reason. I was really liking Christos before the lines dropped, and I didn't expect him to be such big of a favorite because, let's be honest, Christos Giagos is not the best fighter in the world, and I think most people's perception of him is that he's a journeyman. So I didn't think they'd line a journeyman so high. So I was definitely surprised. I wanted to bet Giagos at like minus 190, minus 200, but that simply just did not happen. And the wide line is rightfully so, man. Rota Pugnus Mizuto, he is arguably the most shot fighter in the entire UFC, man. When you're going out there getting outpointed by Ross Pearson, even the Cole Miller fight, I bet on Mizuto Hirota in his lone UFC win there, and that was way too much of a fucking sweat for me, man. Hirota for sure has. I was just talking about Kaito Nakamura losing a step, but Mizuto Hirota lost a step about 5-6 years ago. I'm surprised he's still in there fighting. Props to him. He is I don't want to say a legend of Japanese mixed martial arts, but he definitely has my respect. He's a decent submission grappler. Maybe back in the day he was an all right boxer, but I really think Christos in his prime here, I believe he's around like 27, 28 years old. This is his second stint in the UFC, and I think he's made improvements since the first time. He's gone out, he's paid his dues, he's gotten a W on the Russian scene. Even in his last fight against Charles Dubronx Oliveira, he was getting off on the feet. He was landing some good shots. Unfortunately, it hit the mat, and Dubronx, the guy with the most submission wins in UFC history, he did his thing. But you go watch that fight. Christos Giagos reversed Dubronx in the mat a couple times and got back up to his feet. Like, he's no slouch of a grappler at all. And the line's rightful. He's going to beat Hirota's ass here, probably wherever it goes. Hirota might land a takedown, but if Giagos can get back up from a Dubronx takedown, he can get back up from a shot Hirota takedown. So I like Christos Giagos all day long here. Thing is, he costs way too much from a betting perspective, and then when it comes to DraftKings, I actually don't think he gets a finish because Mizuto is such a tough fucking guy. Like, he went to the scorecards with Volkanovski not that long ago. So, I love Christos to win this fight, but I just don't love it from a betting perspective because of the line, and I don't like it from a DK perspective. So it's just a gigantic pass for me. But Christos is going to win this fight 30-27.
Yeah, man, I don't think both these guys are that good. Giagos is definitely a pretty good striker, but he has no ground game. He has bad takedown defense. I don't know if Hirota's gonna be able to keep him there. I think he can definitely take him down, but I think he's gonna get right back up. Giagos has a huge advantage here size wise. He's way bigger than Hirota. I think Hirota, he's had a close fight with Ross Pearson that he lost. I think he should definitely hang it up. And Giagos, we'll see who he fights next, but I do think that Giagos will win a decision here, 30-27, possibly a late finish. So next up, we got Ben 10 win versus Wilson Hayes, and we both have a play in this fight. I have 3 units on Ben 10. I believe at minus 125. I think it's like minus 155. And it's just your classic striker versus grappler matchup, and definitely Ben 10 is definitely the better striker here. He's definitely one of the heaviest hitters at 125. He's so fast out there, great movement, hits like a truck, good right hand, aggressive, good pressure, really good kicks, and he's good wrestling too, man. And I just don't see Wilson Hayes, man, winning this fight. Wilson Hayes, is definitely a veteran of the sport. He's definitely a good fighter. He was a very good fighter, but the guy's on a 3-fight losing streak. Yes, against all good fighters, but the guy's chinny, man. And the guy gets dropped like every fight. Cejudo butchered the guy. Moraga hurt him multiple times. And I just think Ben 10, all that punishment, I think is going to add up, man. I think Ben 10's going to knock him out. Definitely, Wilson Hayes, if he gets him down, I will be sweaty because he's definitely the better grappler. But if you watch the fight for Miga, he got taken down twice, and the second time he got right back up. The third round, it was 1-1 in my opinion. And Formiga dropped him, man. Wilson Hayes is not going to drop Ben 10 win. Formiga just outstruck Sergio Pettis, man. Formiga's striking has improved a lot. And Formiga dominated Wilson Hayes too. So Formiga is definitely the better fighter than both of them. But I just don't know how Wilson Hayes is going to win this fight. I think he has to get takedowns and he has to grind him out. He has to get a sub. And the Ben 10 against Smoko was a long time ago. It was bad fight IQ. Ben was winning on the feet. He wanted to get a submission, but he went out there and just got he lost on the ground. Smoko was the better grappler, but then he went out there and tapped out Tim Elliott. That was an impressive win, man. I mean, he hurt him on the feet, got a submission. I don't think Ben has bad grappling by any means. 4-2 in UFC. He has good wrestling. He tapped out Benoit too. Benoit's not the best fight IQ guy either. But I just think that I don't see Ben 10 trying to go for a takedown here. That's not going to happen. He's going to try to brawl with Wilson Hayes, and he has the better striking, man, by a long shot. I don't think Wilson Hayes has good striking by any means. I think it's decent. Actually, I don't think it's that good. I really don't. And like I just mentioned, man, all that punishment, man, is going to be added up, and he better be out there diving for legs because if he doesn't get him down, he's going to get KO'd stiff, in my opinion. So I got Ben 10 win by a second round finish. What about you?
Yeah, man, you know which way I'm going here. I got Wilson Hayes, man. I got a real flyweight staple for. I mean, how long is Wilson Hayes? Wilson Hayes has been around for a long time, and I went back. I listened to my my breakdown of Wilson Hayes' last fight against John Moraga, and yeah, I did say Wilson Hayes is definitely on it. I don't want to say on his way out, but he's past the prime of his career. Let's just say that for sure.
On the decline for sure, bro.
Yeah. He's definitely not the guy he once was, but I mean, he's still a very talented fighter. And the thing is with Ben Nguyen, man, I mean, there's a fight IQ issue, 100%. Like it might even be the same thing with Kai Kara France. Looking at Ben Nguyen and Kai Kara France, they both have very, not the best looking records in the world, 17-7, and you watch them both on tape. They both look like excellent strikers, great fighters, but these guys are losing fights just because I don't know what it is. It's a mental lapse. Ben Nguyen, he gets crazy in there, man. Like I feel like he's one of those guys that just completely zones in and just blacks out and just absolutely goes for it, no matter what happens. Like the fact that Tim Elliott went for the head and arm throw and Ben Nguyen and just instantly gave up his back. Yeah, Ben Nguyen offensively is a great grappler, but we've seen this guy dominated on the mat before against Louis Smolka, Formiga, even a couple times on the local scene he was dominated on the mat. Wilson Hayes, if Wilson Hayes lands a takedown here, Ben Nguyen is in serious trouble. Like, if Wilson Hayes gets a dominant position on him, it's really not going to be good at all, man. But I do agree if it stays on the feet, Ben Nguyen, he is going to outstrike Wilson. I think the whole thing of he's taken a lot of damage and his chin isn't there anymore. I mean, yeah, he has been getting wobbled, but look who the fuck Wilson Hayes has been fighting in his last 3 fights. Literally the 2 greatest flyweights of all time, Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo. And then John Moraga in his last fight, which, John Moraga, he won a close decision over him. But John Moraga is another, top 10 staple of all time. Like, Ben Nguyen, Ben Nguyen's a great striker, but I just feel like we saw it in his last fight. When he steps up to a certain level of technique, he kind of folds, man, and he makes mistakes. Like, Wilson Hayes is not a guy you want to make a mistake against, even this late in his career, man. So I think Wilson Hayes comes out here. His takedowns are really underrated. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Pre-tape, I edged Ben in this fight to win, but then I watched Wilson Hayes fight against Dustin Ortiz, my boy, stayed chopping. I mean, great wrestling from him. Dustin Ortiz is another guy who's a top 10 staple. Wilson Hayes went out there and took him down at will. Wilson has really underrated takedowns. Like, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu guys out there who simply they just don't really have the takedowns to get it there. But Wilson Hayes, the dude is fucking strong. He's small. He's a quick little bastard. He's going to come in here. He's going to take down Ben Nguyen, and he's going to gain a dominant position, and he's going to take an arm or a neck home with him, man. So I'm going with Wilson Hayes to win this fight via submission. I do agree if it stays on the feet, of course. that is going to favor Ben Nguyen. I think back in the day, back in Wilson's prime, like he had really hard, fast kicks. Like he just moves. Or he had really good movement. He's 5'4". He's a tough guy to fight for sure. Not a lot of people have looked that great. Like back when he was in his prime, not a lot of people went out there and were smoking him on the feet. Like he was a tough guy, and I know he's not the same guy he once was. So I think back in the day he might have been able to outstrike Ben Nguyen. This time around, I think like if they fought a couple of years ago, I would line the fight like minus 250 Wilson Hayes. Now personally, I line it like around minus 170 Wilson Hayes, just because I think he has less ways to win. But I think the most important and best way for him to win this fight is with the takedowns, and he will get them, and he will tap out Ben Nguyen, and Ben Nguyen will get finished for what is it? I believe the 8th or 9th time in his career. The dude gets finished a lot. So give me the top 10 staple of the flyweight division. I'll take Wilson Hayes to win this fight by submission, and I'll say the second round, man.
Two things. One, he's been finished twice in UFC, and all the other times were like in 2010, I think, at bantamweight, and by knockout. There's no way Wilson's going to knock him out. And number two is, what year was it when Wilson Hayes beat Dustin Ortiz? 2016, right?
2016.
This is a 2018 version of Wilson Hayes, almost 2019. The guy's not the same guy anymore, man. I'm telling you right now, all that punishment, man, adds up. He's gonna take a canvas napping, man, for sure. But hey, we're betting it. We're betting it, man. We're going against each other, so may the best man win.
I mean, he took punishment against the two best flyweights of all time.
Moraga hurt him multiple times, and Ben Nguyen is a better striker and has more power than Moraga.
Oh man, I don't know if Ben Nguyen's a more technical boxer than Moraga, bro.
He hits harder, I'll tell you that for sure. He has more power than Moraga.
He might have more power than Moraga, but he also doesn't have as good takedown defense as Moraga.
I don't know, man. Like Ben Nguyen has a good ground game too. I just don't see him going out there.
Offensively, like when he can like reverse and take the back of Tim Elliott when Tim Elliott's an idiot and goes for a head and arm throw, he can gain offensively a good position and go from there. But defensively, I think once Wilson gets him on his back, he's gonna be lost.
If he gets taken down, for sure. I mean, Wilson has the advantage, but I think he can get up. But I don't know if he's gonna hit the max. I think he's gonna knock him out pretty early. But
it's a great fight, man. I botched the line on that pretty bad.
Not as bad as my Darren Sue line.
Yeah, I got 3 units average odds of minus 108.
I think that's good. But I mean, that's the beauty of this, bro. We're going against each other, man. So I think it's fun when we go against each other because there's a big debate, and whoever loses, man. I mean, the losers we're not going to be like, oh my god, you suck, bro. Like I'm so happy, like
So we got to keep track of this. So far as me being a co-host on Bro Picks, it's you 1, me 0 with the Calvillo Botello. There hasn't been any others, right?
That's it.
Since I started co-hosting Bro Picks with you, I think that's the only time we've gone against each other.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll have to write it down. We'll write it down. You didn't bet Jake Matthews, did you?
This card?
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Okay. I thought you were going to because it would have been another one. But anyways, yeah. So we'll keep on track of that and call the next fight.
All right. What's the next fight? We got
Okami versus Shevchenko.
Oh, we got Yushin Okami plus 275 underdog taking on Kunchenko minus 335. I'm gonna be honest. This is one of those fights where I just didn't look into it that much. I watched Kunchenko's UFC debut. I watched Okami's last fight against Diego Lima. Good job, Yushin Okami. You beat a guy that's 1-5 in the UFC. But you are very, very shot at this point. I was just talking about Mizuto Pugnus being the most shot guy in the UFC. Yushin Okami is very, very shortly behind him, man. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's been around for a very, very long time, even left the UFC for a little while, fought in WSOF, got absolutely stiffened by Dave Branch. And now he just weirdly, it kind of seems like career desperation, the drop to 175 pounds or 170 pounds. He just looks sickly, man. I don't like those weight cuts for him at all. And then Kunchenko, on the other hand, obviously in his prime, Yushin Okami was like a top 3. Like there was one point in time where Yushin Okami was like ranked number 2 or 3 or 4 in the middleweight division. Like, in his prime, dude was a fucking savage. But fortunately, he was in his prime 7 years ago, and right now you got this stud Kunchenko with the unblemished record. And I think Kunchenko, he might have gotten to the UFC too little, too late. I believe 34 years old. I think just like Hayoni Barcelos I was talking about earlier, like these guys are getting to the UFC a little too late, and it's like a now or never thing. And I think Kunchenko knows that. He's got an easy matchup here, and he's probably going to stiffen Okami on the feet, in my opinion. I'll go with Kunchenko first round KO. I don't think Okami's shot taking ability is as good as it once used to be, and I don't know. He's doing dumb shit. Like, I know Vince St. Preux is so much bigger than him, but a guy with the amount of experience as Yushin Okami, a former top 3 guy in the world, should not be getting Von Flue choked, no matter how big the fucking guy is. Honestly, like, it's just bad technique from such an experienced guy. And I think that might be like, I don't know. I think he might have been hit in the head one too many times. Wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those guys with concussion symptoms when it's all said and done, as sad as that sounds. So I think when Kunchenko comes out here and stiffens him, Okami, all the respect to the world in him. I keep mentioning it. He used to be a top 3 guy in the world, legend, but it's over for him. Kunchenko is a rightful big favorite, so first round knockout Kunchenko.
Yeah, I agree, man. I got Shevchenko. He's definitely a very good striker, and Okami, shouldn't be fighting anymore, man. So this is gonna be a short breakdown for me. I don't think Okami has it anymore. I think he's a tough guy, though. He does have grappling, but Shevchenko has pretty damn good takedown defense, and Shevchenko definitely can kind of coast, but I do think that he's gonna pick it up and get a finish here. I mean, Okami beat Diego Lima, but I mean that's Diego Lima. He's a can.
1-5. So 1-5.
I mean, Diego Lima is good on tough, but I mean that's about it.
That's tough for those jobbers.
Hey, beat Tim Williams. Yeah, Tim Williams kind of a jobber.
Tim Williams is a jobber.
Except we'll be talking about Tim Williams next week because that guy almost beat Eric Anders, and yeah, so I can't wait to talk about that.
Almost beat.
Hey, he was 1-1 in the third, man. He won a round. So, anyway, so back on the matchup, yeah. I got Kunchenko. So next fight, we got Usman Mokhtarian versus Sodiq Yusuff, and I'm gonna let you do this breakdown first.
Yeah, this is the other half of my parlay of the weekend. I have 3.75 units on Damir Ismagulov parlayed with Sodiq Yusuff. It's my 2 most confident picks of the week. Yeah, man. So what's the line on this? Sodiq's minus. Oh, it's big now. Minus 550. I think it was minus 700 at one point. So actually, some money's coming on Usman Mokhtarian, which is weird. Once you go and look at the tape of this guy, Usman. Like, yeah, honestly, I think Usman's better than his brother. I'll give him that, but that's not really saying much that you're better than Trash Can Mokhtarian. We got Trash Can Mokhtarian, and I'm trying to think of a nickname for Usman Mokhtarian. I haven't really come up with one yet, but yeah, coming out of the same gym as Gorgies, these guys aren't good in my opinion. Like, the striking's so sloppy. Usman's not a bad submission grappler. Like, he's strong and he's dominant when he gets on top. Definitely was not impressed with that tough performance at all. Looked really bad there. Sodiq's the fucking man, honestly. Like, if you go back and look at Sodiq Yusuff's one lone UFC loss, like, dude, that was some fluky shit. Like, he was smoking that guy. He wins that fight 9 out of 10 times. And that guy was, I forget the gentleman's name, but he was piecing that guy up, and he wins that fight 9 out of 10 times. Looked amazing on Contender Series. Like, seriously, like, some of the most high-level striking you'll see. Like, this dude's got it. Just a matter of, like, it's stylistically, you look at it and you think Usman might be able to come out here and take down Sodiq. He's got the advantage with the grappling, but Sodiq is just a so much better athlete. He's going to be moving. He's going to make it hard for Usman to set up that takedown. It's just, the thing is, Usman against the absolute jobbers he's fighting on the Australian regional scene, he's setting up these takedowns with his extremely predictable and sloppy striking. I don't think he's going to be able to set up takedowns here against Sodiq Yusuff just because he's so outgunned on the feet. Like, this is a serious mismatch, man. Simon's gonna be wanting to shoot for his life as soon as the second this fight starts, because I mean, wow, the the striking differential here, man. That's the thing. It's just the speed is going to be something to watch. I got Sodiq to come out here and get it done quick. So first round knockout for Sodiq Yusuff, in my opinion. It's a mismatch and a half, man.
Yeah, man, you said everything. Suman, he's definitely a pretty good grappler. He has a lot of these weird submissions, like a baseball bat or I don't know, some weird I've never even heard any of that stuff. But they're against Cans. Sodik's a good fighter, man. He's definitely a very good striker. He beat that guy's ass on Tough. Was Sodik the underdog? I think he was. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah,
that is crazy.
That's crazy, man. That guy's striking is really good. He definitely, I think, could definitely beat a good amount of guys in the division right now. So yeah, I think it's definitely another one of those fights where it just wasn't playable, man, for me. You got a parlay, so that's I like that. I think it's gonna hit. But yeah, I'm not gonna play him straight at minus whatever it is, 800 or 600 or 500. But yeah, he's just too fast for this guy on the feet, and he's a way better striker. I don't think he's gonna be able to get taken down. He might even take Suman down. So I got Sodi. So is it my turn or your turn?
Go ahead.
All right, so next fight we got Paul the Bear Jew Craig versus Jim Crute, and I have my first play of the night. I got 4 units on Crute at minus 175, and I think it's a great matchup for Crute. I think Paul Craig is definitely one of the worst fighters in the division. He's a tough guy, but he's definitely chinny. He gets hit a lot. He had that comeback versus Ankalaev, and that was, I don't really say the word fluke that much, but yeah, man, he was getting his ass beat that fight. He did get a couple of takedowns, but then he got reversed. But yeah, man, he's lucky to win that fight, and he's 2-2 now in UFC. The fight with Henrique de Silva, he was getting his ass beat in the feet against one of the worst guys ever be in the division, and then he got taken down, got that submission. But the thing with Crute, I think Crute's good everywhere, man. And I think Crute actually has a very good ground game. He's a brown belt, I believe, and he has good takedowns, man. I feel like he takes down like all of his opponents, man. When you watch tape, and I don't know if he's gonna take him down, Craig here. I think he has a huge advantage in the feet. He's way faster than Paul Craig. He's the better striker. He's a brawler, man. He's gonna go out there and try to back him up against the fence. It's a very powerful left hand, and I think he can definitely get a first round knockout here, kind of like how Khalil did. Khalil definitely has probably more power than Jim Crute, but I think Jim Crute's the better fighter. He has more combinations. Khalil only throws one punch at a time, where Jim Crute has combos. And Crute could definitely take him down though too. I don't think he's gonna get tapped out on the ground. Obviously, the smarter way is to strike on the feet, but if Craig takes him down, which I don't think it's going to happen, I think he'll get right back up. And but I really do see Crute, I could see him taking him down and kind of pounding him out. But I think the easiest path is just striking him on the feet. So yeah, man, on the Contender Series, he looked good. And, he does get hit, but he has a very good chin. He's durable. He's been 5 rounds twice. Very good cardio. He's a mean guy. He has a good right hand too. He changed to Jake Matthews too. We'll be talking about him next fight. But yeah, man, I just think that Paul Craig is just, he's just not good. He's not UFC material, man. I feel like with him is, it's sub or bust, and I don't see him tapping out this really good jiu-jitsu guy, man. So I got Jim Crute wherever the fight goes, and I'm gonna have to go with a first round knockout by a left hook. What about you?
Man, so in my opinion, in this fight, personally, I think on the feet, Paul Craig is in some serious shit. But on the mat, I think Jim Crute's in some serious shit on the mat. Paul Craig is a very, very underrated grappler. Like he's slick, man. Like I've been hearing of Paul Craig going out and submitting black belts in the gym for years now. Like honestly, like I'm not trolling when I say this. He really is a very good grappler, and for him to go out and submit, like I know it was like the flukiest of flukes and all that, but one doesn't simply triangle choke a Dagestani in the 3rd round of a fight they're getting dominated in. Like Paul Craig can make shit happen, and if this fight hits the mat, like I would highly advise Jim Crute not to go for takedowns here because A, he's in deep shit there. B, like he's got a huge advantage on the feet. Let's be honest. Paul Craig is very, very one-dimensional. I think. I'll say this. I think the difference on the feet. I think I think Jim Crute has more of an advantage than Paul Craig does on the mat, in my opinion. But Jim Crute's not, or Paul Craig's not going to get to the mat unless Crute pulls a Mike Perry and takes down the better grappler. He's safe here, man. Jim Crute's going to win this fight. Paul Craig's very bad on the feet. Has this weird style that just doesn't work for him at all. He's super just unathletic, but he's got those long limbs and he can fucking grapple, man. So, I mean, if Crute's an idiot and he goes for a takedown or he chases after Paul Craig after he knocks him down, like, oh man, if I were you, I'd be sweating very hard if Jim Crute knocks him down and chases him down to the ground. Like, I feel like if that happens, Paul Craig might be able to pull off another fluke here. And I'll be honest, if Paul Craig wins this fight, it probably will be a fluke. But this kid's 22 years old. He's green. Like, odds are he may make a mistake here, man. This is just a very, very big pass for me. I mean, if I'm gonna put money on someone in this fight, most of the time I'll say dog or pass, but I don't want my money on Paul Craig. So I think even at the big wide odds and the high price, not even that high price on DraftKings, I think he's like 8,700. I'd still rather take Jim Crute, even though I do think he's very green and he kind of is. He has potential on the feet, but it's kind of sloppy, man. I don't know. We don't know enough about this guy, but I don't think he's that great of a prospect. I think there's a lot of like 20 prospects out there better than Jim Crute, but that's just me. He's gonna win this fight though. You're gonna cash your bet. You got a good line, so props to you. I'll say Jim Crute first round knockout as well.
I think he's too slow for Crute on the feet. Like, he's so slow,
he is,
man.
For sure.
But all right, man. Is it my turn or your turn?
I'll say the odds, but you got to bet on this fight, so I'll let you take it first. Jake Matthews is minus 115, and it's a pick'em here. Anthony Rocco Martin minus 105. Who you got?
Yeah, man. So I have 4 units, man, on the underdog. Anthony Rocco Martin at plus 115, and Jake Matthews been look good recently, man. Went out there, before, well, I mean, we can talk about his lightweight career. I mean, it wasn't the best, but But against Boyan, man, I mean, he didn't look that good. But then against Lee, man, I mean, he definitely won that fight, man. He definitely improved a lot in that fight. He dropped Lee, but I mean, Lee gets dropped every fight, man. He got dropped against Sawada too, and then knocked him out in the 3rd round. But I just think Tony Martin, man, is in my opinion, man, the better. Like, I think he's better wherever the fight goes. But Matthews is definitely more athletic, and I do think that Tony Martin's athletic too, but Martin's a very good grappler, man. I mean, he's a good wrestler too, trains with Colby, man, every game or every day. But that's Jake Matthews' game, man. I mean, he's a very good grappler too. He wants to get you down. I mean, he took down Shinzo Azai and finished him pretty early, but I just don't think Shinzo Azai is that good. I mean, the way he beat Lee was impressive. It was a brawl back and forth, but I mean, he won because he took him down, man. And I just don't think he's gonna be able to take down Tony Martin. If he does, I think Tony Martin could definitely Kimura sweep him, and I mean, he's a very good scrambler, man. Tony Martin. If Tony Martin gets on top, I think Jake's in trouble. We've seen Jake quit before, but it was definitely 155, and Tony Martin has had a couple bad performances at 155 too. Both these guys are better off at 170, but I think this fight's gonna stay off on the feet, man. And I really think Tony Martin's a better striker. His striking's improved a lot, man. The way he beat Keita, man, was really impressive. That was the first fight we've seen Keita hit the decline, man. He won every round, man. He dominated Keita Nakamura. 30-27. Then against Flair, yeah, he got knocked out against Cowboy, but I mean, yeah, he's on the decline, but still making a statement like that, man. I mean, dominated him 3 rounds, knocking him out with a head kick was still pretty impressive. He retired him, man. And I really think those wins against how he beat him were impressive. Yeah, you can say the Lee fight was impressive too, but I just think this is one of those fights, man, where Tony Martin, both these guys have good grappling, both these guys have good wrestling, but Tony Martin, man, is a good grinder, man. He's a good scrambler too. I don't see Jake Matthews, out grinding him on the ground, man. I really don't. I mean, you can talk about the OM fight at 155. I mean, it was a close fight. OM probably won the first 2 rounds, but I mean, the 3rd round, man, Tony Martin, took his back. If Tony Martin takes Jake Matthews back, he's gonna tap him out, man. So I think both these guys have pretty good cardio, but I think Tony Martin actually has the better gas tank, and we've seen Jake Matthews fight IQ, man, sometimes. So I think he's in a gas, man, because he's not going to be able to get Tony Martin down on the feet, man. Tony has the better strike. He's more technical, man. He's a very good right hand, man. Good left hand. He's durable too. You can say Jake's pretty durable too. He's improved a lot, man. He really has. But I just think at this point right now at 170, I think Tony Martin's a better fighter, man. I actually think he's better wherever the fight goes. So I'm gonna go with Tony Martin by a submission. I think he's gonna tap out Jake Matthews in the 3rd round. What about you?
Yeah, man, this is a really, really good fight. Maybe one of the best fights of maybe the best fight on this card, if we're being honest here. I'd honestly say that. I'd say this is probably the best fight on this card for sure. Jake Matthews, Tony Martin is I mean, it might not be a knockout banger like the main event or co-main event, but I mean, technique wise, and both these guys, I don't want to say career resurgences, but both these guys are definitely in the primes of their career. They're both looking the best they ever have. And, I've actually gone back and forth. Pre-tape, I liked Tony Martin. Even after watching tape, I kind of liked Tony Martin. But in these last couple of days, I'm kind of leaning Jake Matthews. Really, I'm just more impressive. I'm more impressed with his welterweight run than I am with Tony Martin's run. Like the Boyan fight, yeah, it was a split decision. In my opinion, it should have been a unanimous decision. But I agree, he probably didn't look. That was it was his first fight at 170, to be fair, but definitely his worst performance at 170. But I don't think that matters, man, because his most 2 recent performances against the Leech, Li Jiangliang. I know you mentioned that Leech he gets dropped all the time. He always gets dropped, and he got dropped in his last fight. You're right, but the Leech wins fights, man. The Leech, your boy, the Leech, who just came through for you. He's 11-3 in the UFC. He wins fights. Jake Matthews is his only loss in the last 7 fights, and I know Leech. He probably doesn't have the best wins in my opinion. Like his best win in the UFC. Like look at it, like it's kind of hard. Like probably it might even be his last one, David Zawada. But yeah, that might be his best win, but. Man, Jake just looked like a whole new man there. His striking looked on point. I think he's made strides. He's definitely come a long way from losing to the Andrew Holbrooks of the world. Even though I thought that fight against Holbrook was like razor thin, it could have gone either way. I know his last fight didn't last that long, but I think he looked even better than the Leech fight. Like he's literally looking better every fight, and you look how damn young he's like. Jake Matthews is. I feel like Jake Matthews has been in the UFC fucking forever, and he's only 24 years old. Like that's ridiculous, man. Like so much experience at such a young age. That's like that's great for him. It looks like he's finally found like the perfect body frame for himself. And then you look on the other side, and Tony Martin. So Tony Martin, he moved up to welterweight after losing to OAM in a split decision. I thought OAM clearly won that fight, though. I'll be honest, but yeah, Tony's looking like a different guy for sure. I thought he was going to be outsized at 170, and he proved me wrong for sure. I actually bet against him in the Kaita fight. I lost against Kaita there. He picked Kaita apart. I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know how much of that is Tony improving. I don't know how much of that is Kaita declining. Could be both, but I mean, either way, his striking's improved. Like that, you can't debate that. Tony's striking has improved. And then in his last fight, he got his first knockout of his entire career against Ryan LaFleur. But, man, Ryan LaFleur's retired at this point. I don't know how much that win really means. Ryan LaFleur didn't even go for takedowns. Like, I don't know. I'm just much more impressed with smoking Shinzo Anzai the way he did. And I know it's Shinzo Anzai, but nobody really smoked Shinzo Anzai like that in the UFC. Shinzo's a real tough guy. And the Leech win, the Jing Liang win, I'm just more impressed with his wins. I think he's more athletic. I think he has more pop on the feet, man. I honestly think Jake Matthews has the advantage on the feet here. Like, I'm not super confident, but I do think he has the advantage on the feet here. Tony Martin, like, against Alex White, I know this was a 155-pound Tony Martin, but against Alex White, that fight, Tony Martin was dominating him on the mat for, like, most of it. Alex White has no takedown defense. We know that, but any second that fight on the feet, Alex White was, like, smashing him, and he even dropped him, and I think it was the 3rd round. I don't know, man. Tony's definitely Tony's susceptible to being hit, and I think he needs to dive for legs here on Matthews. And I think I think he needs to dive.
The Alex White fight, he wasn't even trained in American top team, man. Since he's moved to ATT, man, his striking's improved a lot, man. You saw his striking against Flair. That dude, his striking turned a corner against Keita, man. So,
but this is Keita at the end and retired LaFleur. Like, if he comes out here and outstrikes Matthews, like, holy shit, I'll be surprised. But I mean, I haven't I've seen the improvement in the technique, but he's not doing it against.
When have we seen Matthews striking? Like against Lee, everybody drops Lee, man. Like I said that in my breakdown.
Not everyone beats Lee though.
He's a tough guy, man. He really is. I bet him last week, but he gets dropped every fight. I don't think Jake's striking is that good. I really don't. It was one shot. Tony Martin has better striking, man. You're gonna see it on Saturday. He's definitely more technical. He's the faster striker too. Jake is a grappler, man. I don't
know about faster.
I think Jake's more athletic, but I think Tony's faster. But Jake's a grappler. He's gonna want to get him in the mat, and when he does it, he's gonna gas out. Jake on the feet, no. Tony Martin's a better striker, man. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just really off here, but I feel like Jake has the advantage on the feet, and Tony Martin has the advantage on the mat.
I think he's more athletic. I think that might be the only advantage he has in this fight, in my opinion. But I mean, on the ground is close. Like I'm not saying it's like okay, Tony Martin's has a huge advantage on the ground. I just think he has a big advantage on the feet, though. I do. But on the ground, it's close. It's both guys. But
I like that Tony Martin's not cutting weight anymore. But like, you know about the neck surgeries he had a few years ago?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, though, man.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was a serious surgery. A neck surgery is no slouch, my brother.
Did you see that takedown defense against Keita? That was pretty impressive. Yeah. You can say Keita's on the decline, all that, but I mean before that fight, and you can't say Keita looked good before that fight. So I mean, just the way Tony beat Keita like that, I don't think Jake Matthews could have done that. I really don't. That was a really impressive win, man. So I mean, I'm telling you, man, I think Tony Martin's a good fighter, man. I think Jake Matthews is a good fighter too, but I think Tony Martin I think it's a good matchup for Tony Martin. I really do.
I'm mostly playing devil's advocate here, but I do have Jake Matthews. No, I'm not confident at all. You're confident, I'm not. So we'll leave it at that.
This is kind of like the Lee Zawada fight, man, where I bet you picked Zawada, but you weren't that confident. So hopefully it turns out like that.
I wish you luck, man. I don't know anyone betting Matthews, so I wish you luck.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of people betting Matthews. He's the favorite though. So, anyways, next fight. We got Tyson Pedro versus Mauricio Shogun Hua. This will be a short breakdown. I honestly do not care about this fight that much. I don't think Tyson Pedro is that good. Yes, he beat Khalil, but let's be honest. Even though I'm a Khalil fan, Khalil is not that good. Tyson Pedro is just not that good either, man. I mean, he has a good ground game. He's chinny on the feet. He's sloppy on the feet. He has terrible fight IQ. He did drop OSP, but I mean, just like Lee, OSP gets dropped every fight. I don't know, man. It's a weird fight. I actually think it's close. Shogun, is definitely a legend in the sport. He should be retired. I don't think he should be fighting anymore, but he definitely can strike on the feet. He can crack. Still, I wouldn't be surprised if Shogun wins. Like, I don't think this is a lock by any means. But then again, there are no locks in UFC, in my opinion. I think this is a closer fight, honestly, than the line is right now. Like, I think it should be more like maybe like minus 150 Tyson Pedro. I'm telling you right now. This is not one of those fights you should be parlaying at all. But I'll just go with the guy I think that's, in the better condition right now in the UFC. I don't know. I think Tyson Pedro, is more durable right now. So I got Tyson Pedro by, damn. I can't believe I'm going to pick Tyson Pedro by a knockout. Like, the guy just doesn't knock out anyone. Like, he's not going to tap out Shogun, but I just think Shogun's chin is just done. So I got Tyson Pedro by knockout, but I'm not confident. Please don't tell me. What about you?
Yeah, man. I think I got Tyson Pedro by. I pretty much agree with you completely. I got Tyson Pedro by knockout, but I think the line's off. I think Shogun Hua has a good chance of coming out here and knocking out Tyson Pedro. We saw Tyson Pedro dropped by Khalil, who at this point we pretty much know Khalil's a fucking jobber. Sorry, he is, but yeah, man, I think Tyson Pedro, he's sloppy on the feet, and I don't think he's he's in a shallow division, of course, but he's not that much of a prospect at this point. I think we know what the deal is with Tyson Pedro, and the thing is with Ovince St. Preux, we know with Ovince St. Preux, he's either going to lose to top 10 guys, or he's going to beat guys that aren't in the top 10. He beat Tyson Pedro. I don't think Tyson Pedro is a top 10 guy. So I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to when Tyson Pedro fights somebody legit. I'll say that. But you know, Shogun, obviously legend of the sport, Hall of Famer, but seen better days. Most likely won't be able to eat the shot from the much bigger guy here. So very sadly, Tyson Pedro will win this fight by first round knockout. But I'm really rooting for Shogun. So moving on to the co-main event of the evening. I don't have the odds because my phone died, but as it's still like minus 120 Willis, plus 100 Hunt, I want to say. Is that the odds still?
What'd you say? Let me check.
Phone died. My phone died on me. What's the odds on that fight?
Let me see real quick. Okay, so the odds are Justin Willis minus 120, Mark Hunt plus 100.
Yeah, so I took this is my third and final play of the card. I have a small 1.5 unit parlay on Mark Hunt here, man. Man, I mean, I'll say this: if striking had belts, Mark Hunt's a black belt, Justin Willis is a blue belt. I think this is a really big step up for Justin Willis. This is a really tough fight for him. You know, obviously, looking at Mark Hunt's record, like, what's the guy's Achilles heel? Of course, he's this amazing striker with the most power in UFC history, arguably one of the most dangerous fighters that can end the fight at any second. But what's the hole in his game? Of course, it's his grappling, it's his wrestling. And, you know, in recent years, he has been grappled and out-wrestled to losses. But if you look who's actually going out there and doing that on him, I mean, you got former world champion Brock Lesnar, former world champion Stipe Miocic. I mean, this is the best of the best guys doing it. Mark Hunt, he's a very unassuming record, 13-13 or 14-14. So I don't want to say very Artem Lobov-like. It's so funny to think Artem Lobov and Mark Hunt have similar MMA records. It's hilarious to me. But honestly, man, I think a lot of people are overrating Justin Willis here, man. I think on the feet, I actually think especially for his looks, he very looks unassuming. Like, he moves a lot better on the feet than he actually looks, for sure. Like, Justin Willis would absolutely slap the shit out of any of these Ultimate Fighter guys from this card. I'll say that for sure. But the thing is, he's taken on a top 10 staple for like the last. I mean, how long has Mark Hunt been in like the top 10 of the UFC's heavyweight division now? Probably like 5-6 years. He's the man. He still wins fights. He still beats ranked guys all the time. This is a huge step up. This is not James Mulheron. This is not Chase Sherman. This is not Crowder. Like, this is like a huge step up. And I don't think Justin Willis is ready, man. Like, all those takedowns that he got, those takedowns that he got on those jobbers, I mean, he sets those up with his striking for sure. Like, all those takedowns he sets up. He does set them up nicely with his striking. But the thing is, man, he's striking and he's looking decent on the feet against like really, really bad fighters like Chase Sherman, James Mulheron, and Crowder. Like, he's not going to be able to set up takedowns here against Mark Hunt. He's not going to be able to use his striking to any kind of advantage here. Like, Mark Hunt has him outgunned really badly. Like, I know Willis, he has good movement and everything, and he's gonna be dancing around Hunt for sure. But man, he's gonna make a mistake on the feet. Like, he's gonna go in for a sloppy takedown. He's gonna overextend. Something's gonna happen, and Mark Hunt's gonna knock him out on the feet. I don't think. I mean, and Justin Willis, I don't even believe he has like any college wrestling. Like, I know he went to college, but I think he played football in college. I don't think he wrestled in college. Am I right in that? But like, I don't think he wrestled in college.
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
He doesn't have any wrestling background. Like, he goes for them in his fights, of course, but like, I mean, we're not talking about a Daniel. I know a lot of people are comparing him to fucking Daniel Cormier. I mean, how the hell can you compare this guy to Daniel Cormier? I think there's a lot of unnecessary hype on Justin Willis just because he's in a very shallow division, and he's a decent striker. I'll give him that, but stylistically, this is a horrible one for him because I don't think he's that great of a wrestler. I don't think he's going to be able to land takedowns the way he has in the past by setting up his striking just because he's so outgunned on the feet. So I think Mark Hunt catches him with an uppercut coming in on a bad takedown, or he just simply overhands him. So I mean, shit. Mark Hunt, he almost knocked out Curtis Blades almost a couple fights ago, and I mean, this guy Justin Willis, in my opinion, is a poor man's Curtis Blades. He's a decent striker with some takedowns. He's nowhere near on Curtis Blades' level. And I know MMA math doesn't work, but this is a good fight for Hunt. This is a step down from what Mark Hunt's been fighting, man. I think he catches the unexperienced kid. I think he makes a mistake and gets his face knocked off. So I'll say Mark Hunt, first round KO.
Yeah, man, this is a close fight. Another one of your heavyweight fights. Justin Willis definitely doesn't have the wrestling credentials, but we've seen so far, that in his 3 UFC fights against Cans, yes, it's a big step up against Mark Hunt, but he's been taking guys down, man, and that's his game, and that's definitely Mark Hunt's weakness. This is Mark Hunt's retirement fight. He hasn't looked good lately. He looked like terrible against Oleski. Oleski hurt him on the feet, which is kind of crazy. And then you saw on the ground, man, he's been subbed like 20 times or something like that. So, yeah, man, maybe Willis doesn't have the wrestling credentials, but that's how you beat Mark Hunt. I think Willis could definitely take him down here. On the feet, Willis is pretty fast hands for, his looks. Good boxing. He can get hit. His cardio is not the best. He gets going to Chase Sherman a little bit, but Hunt definitely hits harder, I think. Hunt's, a KO artist for sure. But I think, I just think his time's up, man. He's on the decline, man. Willis is on the incline. I think Willis is going to, take a couple shots, man, just to take him down, man. I think he's going to feel that Mark Hunt power and, get him on the mat. And I don't know if he's going to get a submission. He doesn't have any submissions, but I think he can kind of grind him out to a decision. So, yeah, I got what you talking about, Willis, for a decision.
So you don't think he finishes Mark Hunt? So that gives my boy Mark Hunt 15 minutes to land that one shot.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Justin Willis can take him down, though, man. And will. I mean,
yeah, he might, but I mean,
just because he doesn't have wrestling credentials, like he's been doing it in his fights, like that's his game. Like
against who though? Against who?
Against Kansas. Mark Hunt's like, come on, man. Mark Hunt's on his way out, man.
Mark Hunt's a legend, bro. Like, are you kidding me? How many ranked wins does Mark Hunt have? Like a lot.
But he's done right now. This is his last fight. He's retiring for a reason.
He just knocked out Derek Lewis last year. Derek Lewis, the guy who just fought for the belt, he just knocked him out last year.
Yeah, but I mean, this is Mark Hunt's last fight in the octagon. You saw what he did last fight, man.
He says even if this is the last fight in the octagon, he's still going to keep fighting. He is.
And
the R word is not on his mind.
Derek Lewis doesn't have wrestling. This is wrestling. This is his worst kryptonite right here. If Justin Willis goes out there and doesn't try to take him down, he'll lose. But if you've seen Mark Hunt, he loses to wrestlers. Justin Willis is a wrestler. So that's why I think – go ahead.
Yeah. No, that is true. But all the wrestlers that have – in the UFC, I'll say, all the wrestlers in the UFC that have defeated Mark Hunt are former world champions.
True. Like, this is a big step up for Willis, but I do think that the prospect, man, has wrestling that can take down Mark Hunt. So I'm going to have to go with Justin Willis. I think he's going to grind him out and, get a decision. But if he doesn't get him down, then I think your Mark Hunt bet is going to cash. So next fight, this is the fight I honestly did not watch that much tape for. It's a very close fight, which is the main event. We got Tai Tuivasa versus JDS. Yeah, you might be surprised with who I picked here because I've been going back and forth in the fight. JDS is definitely a good fighter. He's a veteran. I think he's on a decline though for sure. I know he beat your boy Blagov, whatever, who trains with at AKA with Justin Willis, by the way. But yeah, man, I really do think he's on the decline. I don't know if he can take a punch, and his chin is just not the best in my opinion. He does have good striking. He's a tough guy, but Tai Tuivasa, man, I know he could even finish Arlovski, and yeah, he's a big guy and he has a huge belly, and his cardio's not the best, but the guy can crack, man. The guy hits like a truck, and in that first round, he's a monster, man. I mean, it's a big step up, just like the Justin Willis fight. It's a big step up for Tai Tuivasa, but he's fighting at home, man. I just got a feeling, man, he's going to get that first round knockout and do a shoey in the octagon. So I got to go with my boy Tai Tuivasa with a first round knockout. And the thing is, JDS is the better fighter, man. I think, but I think the chin-wise, I think Tai Tuivasa has a better chin. I actually think Tuivasa is the fastest guy, too. So JDS is more technical for sure. I don't know if could JDS take him down? I don't know. He's a striker. He's a boxer. But I mean, there's two ways you look at this. JDS is on the decline and Tai Tuivasa is an incline. Huge step up for Tuivasa. It's a fight, that it's close, but I'm gonna have to go with the underdog here. So I got Tai Tuivasa by knockout. What about you?
This is a really, really, really close fight to call, man. I have no idea which way to lean, but I'll give a shout out. I don't know the guy's name, but the guy who went on the Anik and Florian podcast and gave his picks this week, he had a really good point on this fight, and I think he nailed it. He said that whoever wins this fight is going to be the one to take control of the center of the octagon, because if Tai Tuivasa goes in there, takes the center of the octagon, charges down on JDS, JDS does not do well when he's getting pressured. You look at that, the Stipe fight. The second Stipe started putting some pressure on him, he couldn't handle it at this point. The Alistair Overeem fight that I was at, by the way, I was devastated when JDS lost. I'm a huge fan of JDS. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time, which is weird because I've bet against him a few times now. But man, as soon as Alistair decided to put his foot on the gas and start going for it, he pressured JDS. He can really hang, and I feel if Tai Tuivasa goes in there and actually has some confidence, and he pretty much charges JDS down. He's an athletic guy for his size, for sure. Kind of unassuming, just like Willis. You see these guys, and they're a lot more athletic than they look. I think he can absolutely catch the chin of JDS here. But on the other hand, if JDS comes out here, takes the center of the octagon, he's gonna, let's be honest, he's gonna outbox another fat guy. I really regret fading. I regret fading JDS last fight, man. Like, he's legit. Like, I talked about Tim Means earlier. JDS also has some of the best pure boxing in the entire sport of MMA. He's very, very technical. He's huge, man. He's huge. He's definitely lost a step, I'd say. Of course, after all these years, we still have to bring it up because it's a very real thing. Cain Velasquez changed that guy's life for sure. Like, oh, man, I don't know if you were watching back in the day, but easily one of my favorite runs in UFC history is JDS. His run to the title, taking out Cain Velasquez, all those fights, uppercutting Verdum. That initial UFC run by JDS is probably one of my favorite runs of all time, and why I'm such a huge fan of him. Like, he was such a beast back in the day, but you can obviously tell it's not the same guy. And before, he kind of thrived in wars as well. Like, he did really, really well in wars, but once that didn't really work out for him once Cain put the pressure on him and showed him what's up. And he just hasn't looked the same since then. And then after getting knocked out a couple times, it's another step down. It just keeps going step down for JDS. But I mean, look at the Ben Rothwell fight. Look at the Blagoy fight. Like, these guys that he has athleticism and huge like technical boxing advantages of, he can come out here and outbox the fat guys. So I got JDS. I'll say 50-45 decision.
All right, man. So that is it. We just broke down both cards. Before we go, we'll do our recap on our plays real quick. So I have we'll do the top card first. So I have 2 plays in the top card. I got Roosevelt Roberts, 4 units at -185, and then Darren Stewart, the one that I botched, 4 units at -170. And then this card, I got 4 units on Crew at -175, 4 units on Anthony Rocco, Tony Martin at +115. And then 3 units on Bet 10 at -125. What are yours?
Okay, so I have 4 plays on the Tuf Finale. I have a 1 unit small play on Brian Caraway at +205. I have 2 units on Kevin Aguilar -110. I have 2 units on Darren Stewart +135. I have 4.65 units on Alex Perez at average odds of +106. That's my biggest play of the weekend is Alex Perez. And then on the Adelaide card, I have 3 plays. I have 3 units on Wilson Hayes at -108 odds. I have 3.75 units on the parlay of Damir Ismagulov with Sadiq Youssef. And then I have a small 1.5 unit play on Mark Hunt at +100.
All right, man. So yeah, man. So we got 2 cards, and hope everyone casts their bets. Let us know, in the comments below who you guys have. Check out Kelton's show, the fight game. We did a recap, and for the last card, Beijing, we'll do a recap probably on Sunday for these 2 cards. We might do it on the same night. Yeah, I mean, we might. It's just 2 cards.
May as well. We may as well do one video for it.
Yeah, let's do it. And next week, man, we got a very good card, UFC 231. We got T-City versus Max Holloway. I actually already bet on T-City, 4 units at plus 110. I'm 4-0 betting T-City. He's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, and I think he gets it done again, man. And there's some good fights in that card, man. We got Elias versus Eric Anders. We got, no more Maikana, but we got Gunnar Nelson versus Howell Oliveira. We got some bangers on this card, man. It's a very good card. Anything else you want to say?
Have we congratulated the new father yet on the show?
No, I guess we haven't, man. So yeah, congrats to Ricky. I mean, he's still gonna come on the show whenever he wants, whenever he can. But former co-host Ricky, just had a baby, man. So congrats to Ricky. And I know he's probably crying right now because he is gonna be losing a bet on Jake Matthews. But hey, man, congrats to Ricky's kid, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, congrats to Ricky and his family. Shout out to you, Ricky. I'm looking forward to talking fights with you again sometime soon. And thank you to Justin's viewers for accepting me as new co-host. I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you're just lucky that you're not betting on Jake Matthews, because if you were, you probably wouldn't be on the show right now. But hey, Ricky isn't. He's not on the show anymore, so.
Ricky's really betting on him, huh? Interesting.
Who knows? He's all talk. He might. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
It's just talk. All right, I got it.
We'll see. I'll see right now. But all right, man. So we'll be back, man, next week, and I can't wait, man. So hope everyone casts their bets, and take it easy, guys.
Thanks, guys.